Hey everybody, welcome in. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good weekend, had a good Easter. Sorry, I'm trying to still get all my settings right here. Anyway, it's Monday. It's been a Monday. I went back to work today for a little bit, so I was out schlepping some groceries earlier. But at least the weather was nice. The weather was very nice here. It was maybe mid 70s, low 80s, low humidity. So that's about all we can ask for here in Arkansas. But it's good to see everybody here tonight. All the usual suspects. I've been looking through chat. Most of the usual suspects are here. If this is your first time here for anybody, welcome. We are so glad to have you here. We're glad that you found us. This is our weekly Missing Person Monday live stream. We do this every Monday night. For the most part, sometimes it'll get pushed to Tuesdays for one reason or another, but for the most part, we're here every Monday, and we share missing persons, mostly cold cases. My channel focuses a lot on the cold cases and the unsolved homicides, cold cases. But now I do upload pre-recorded videos during the week where I do try to share some newer missing and some urgent missing, and along with the cold cases that I share. And if you're on Replay Crew, thank you so much for watching or for being Replay Crew. We have an awesome Replay Crew. So if you are on Replay Crew, please remember leave me a comment down below to let me know that you are Replay Crew. So let's see who is ear. I can't use my words tonight. Who is here? Miss Farr is here, and Miss Farr has been a member for 17 months. She says, thank you for all you do for the missing and the families. Thank you, Miss Farr, and everybody who comes into the lives, participates in the chats, watches the replays, or watches the pre-recorded videos. I'm just so very appreciative of everybody. I wouldn't, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I'd be here talking to myself. But so let's give Miss Farr her moo cow. If I can find it, there she is. Once again, thank you to Miss Farr for being a member. Oop, although my comments popped up for 17 months. Thank you, thank you. And Miss Farr is always gifting memberships, and so we just appreciate Miss Farr so much. Miss Avery is here. Hello, my dear. It's good to see you. Chris is here. Good to see you, my friend. Miss Doodle made it. She says her usual hello humans. Oh, and please do check out all these wonderful creators that are in here. Doodle's in here. I think that's all I've come to so far that has channels. Please do check out Doodlebug. I'm sure some more will pop in. Yep, there's Stormy. Hello, Stormy. Good to see you. Please do check out Stormy. Let's see who else. And for once, I'm not even going to say it, or everything will turn into a dumpster fire. So I'm just going to let it be right now. My computer is actually working. StreamYard's actually working on my computer right now, so it's making it a lot easier for me to read these comments. Now, as soon as I say that, it'll poop out on me. But Mustang is here. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. And Mustang's already getting links in. Thank you so much. Miss Paula is here, another great creator and friend. So please do check out Miss Paula. I hope you're doing well tonight, Miss Paula. Let me see. I can't talk tonight. And I promise I haven't taken any. I probably should have. I haven't taken any sinus meds. My allergies are just once again out of control. So I can't blame my loopiness on any meds tonight. Dandy is here. Hello, Miss Dandy. Good to see you, my friend. She says, hello, everyone. Hope you had a fantastic Easter. Just dropping by with a like and a share. Thank you so much. Dandy is just, I know she pops in and out a lot. Dandy was one of the first ones to come in and be a mod and just show me the ins and outs and the ropes of having a channel, doing live streams. So I've always appreciated Dandy so very much. And I'm always glad when she pops in here. Always glad to see her. Let me see who else is in here. Let me see. Just when I think I get caught up, as always, a new batch of comments pops up. I just don't want to miss anybody. Mustang says her allergies are bad too. I know, mine are horrible. Between the pollen in the air here and then they've been disking and plowing up all the fields to get ready to plant here pretty soon. So you got the dust in the air, you got the pollen in the air, and apparently I'm allergic to all of it. You would think that because I lived on the farm all my life, you would think that I would outgrow it, but it seems like the older I get, the worse my allergies get, because I didn't really have allergies as a kid growing up. You know, we played outside all the time in the pollen, in the dirt, and it never bothered me. But I don't know, maybe it's another one of those things of getting old. Hey, Patriotism, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Oh, I almost missed it. Miss Farr gifted one Southern Gals True Crime membership. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Farr. Miss Farr is an angel. Oh my goodness. There it goes. I lost my chat. Okay, I found it again. So I think she put in who got it. Yeah, welcome to the paddock, Mo and Co. Excellent. Welcome, welcome to our newest member. Yeah, Stormy says Dan or where'd it go? There it is. Dandy is the sweetest. Yes, she is. Dandy is a sweetheart. Okay, I think I'm actually caught up. All right, so before we get started with our, since my laptop's working and it'll make it easier for me to read these missing persons posters, I do have three. I think it's three. If I can find them. There we go. Three missing persons from here in Arkansas that I just wanted to share quickly their posters. First, we have Kennedy Love, as far as I could find, because yesterday I did go to check for any updates on any of the like Kennedys and Tavoris. Tavoris Thomas from here in Arkansas that have been missing for a while. And speaking of Tavoris, there's not really. I did post, or I did do a pre-recorded video of him because a new, not really any updates per se, but a new interview with his family. Some comments from his family did come out in a news article. So I did do a video of that. So please check my videos and watch it, share it. But it's just from the comments that the family has made. I think they've been kind of hearing on the street. And let me switch over to Tavoris. Let me get back over here. So this is Tavoris, and then we'll go back to Kennedy. So this is Tavoris. He has been missing since September 6th, 2025 from North Little Rock, Arkansas. He is a black male, 47 years old at the time he went missing, 5 foot 8 inches tall, 138 pounds. He was last seen on approximately September 6th of 25 when he was dropped off in the Meadow Park area of Rose City. He has not been seen or heard from since. His family has always, since he first went missing, said that it is very unusual for him, unusual behavior for him to not have any contact whatsoever for this long with any members of his family. He has mother, sisters. I think he has one or two children. But in this new news article that came out, I think it was maybe his sister was talking, because he and his sister are very, very close. Just and she said that they kind of heard, word on the street is that they've been hearing from more than one person that maybe something has happened to him and that he may not be with us anymore. So that's always just disheartening and so sad to hear. But so now they're just basically wanting to know, but they basically said, if he's not here anymore, just please, somebody's got to know something. Just at least let us know where we can find him and bring him home to lay him to rest. So it's just very, very sad. But like I said, go watch the video, share it if you can, leave a comment, like it. It's just a very, very sad situation. So we'll go back to Kennedy. So this is Kennedy Love. She has been missing since from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, since February 21st of 2026. She was last seen on the 21st in Pine Bluff. She is believed, so this is the scary part, she is believed to possibly be in the company of a male named Davion. I mean, they haven't really, and I don't know if it's that they just don't have any more information than this, or if they have found some kind of information, they're just kind of keeping it close for future reference, you might say. But she is believed to be possibly in the company of this male named Davion. So if you have any information regarding Kennedy's whereabouts, please contact the Pine Bluff Police Department. And I don't know if you can see the what did I do? I keep losing everything. Contact the Pine Bluff Police Department. I don't know if you can see it. the banner may be covered up, but I will share her. I've shared her this poster many times on my community tab. I will share it again. And so we did have some good news actually. Adelise Lux, who had been missing, she has been found safe per Little Rock PD. And then we had another young lady, Sanaya Dorn. She has been found safe according to her family. So good news on those two. Please just still keep Kennedy and Tavoris. And then we have a new one that just came up a couple of days ago. Antonio Dickerson. He is missing from Sherwood, which is a part of Little Rock, North Little Rock. He is a 34-year-old black male, 5'11", inches tall, 180 pounds. The Sherwood Police Department is requesting assistance in locating Antonio. Antonio's family has been unable to make contact with him for several weeks. It is believed that he was last seen at an area hospital, but he has since been discharged. Antonio may have mental health issues, so that's just, another layer on an already bad situation. So if Antonio's whereabouts are known to you, or anybody you may know, if you're in this area, or if you have seen him, if you've heard anything, just any little bit of information, basically the family and law enforcement are asking for just anything. You can contact the Sherwood Police Department, and I'm going to have to take down my banner so I can read take down my creeper for a minute so I can read, there it is. 501-835-1425. So this is kind of they're all urgent, but this one might be a little bit more so because, and I don't know what he had been in the hospital for. I don't know if it was for a physical illness or it had something to do with these mental health issues that he had. But apparently when he was discharged, I'm assuming he just walked out of the hospital and has just never been seen again, hasn't had any contact with his family. So very, and they actually have been featuring him quite a lot on the local news programs, so very, very, very important, urgent to get his name and his face out there. So hopefully, best case scenario, all of these, Antonio, Tavoris, and Kennedy can be brought home safe and sound. All right, so those are our local ones that I wanted to share with you. So let me bring up, and tonight we're going to be featuring, I think I have 6 cases, missing persons cold cases from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And these are ones, we have the Charley Project information, which is what I use for anybody new here, for the basic information. And then I try to get on the Google machine and try to find any little tidbits of extra information I can find on these. Some of them I was able to find a decent amount of some extra information, but on a lot of them, not a whole lot. But we will go with what we have because it is better than nothing, as we say. But let me check your comments one more time, and we will get into it. Looks like some people have jumped in here. Let me make sure I got everybody welcomed in. Oh no, I don't want to delete comments. Let me see. I forgot to mark where I was at when I left off. Chris says, I thought all of you ladies were the sweetest. Oh, well, that is sweet of you to say, Chris. Hey, Simi Sharp, good to see you. Glad to see you made it one of my lives. I always see Simi in Trial Junkies United chats. And speaking of, I don't know if Ms. Z and Doc, or Ms. Z sometimes that pops in here when she can, but on there, they do live streams on Thursday nights, Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Central. And last night, Sunday night, they just did, it was their it's actually the 1 year anniversary of the channel. They're up to over 400 subs. So if you have not checked out Trial Junkies United, I'm sure Mustang or somebody can throw the link in. Please do check them out. They do wonderful work. They cover injustice cases, corruption cases. They cover a lot of missing MMIP, indigenous person cases. They do the hard stuff. They talk about the hard stuff. So God bless them for always doing that, shedding light to all the atrocities and the injustices that do go on. But we just kind of had a little chill show, chill live stream last night. We chatted a lot about different things. And so please, if you haven't already, once again, please go over there, subscribe, watch some of their past live streams, leave a comment, share, like, do all the things. They are greatly deserving. They do good work. Let me see. Yep. Yeah, Chris says, talking to Sammy, please tell us about cases that interest you or things that make you happy. Oh, Sammy is in Louisiana. All right. They say Baton Rouge is an hour or so from me. I'm in Thibodaux, Louisiana. Excellent. Well, hello, neighbor. I'm in Arkansas. So we're neighbors. Oh, Sammy says they're usually replay crew. Excellent. Hey, we love our replay crew. Yes, absolutely. Z and Doc and Moo the cat. We can't forget Moo. They do such good work. Like I said, they talk about the hard stuff. And I can just imagine, because when I go over there and listen to them and listen to whatever case, whatever story that they're telling, it's just sometimes just even hearing it, listening to it is just hard for me to stomach, because and I can just imagine what Z and Doc, when they're researching the cases, what they have to read and see, because they don't ever get really graphic with with a lot of things that happen in these cases. But yeah, they do the hard work. They cover the hard ones, and we appreciate them so much for that. Wait, now you're talking about Jefferson Parish. Yeah, I think at one point when I was researching the cases I'm going to share tonight, some of the cases I'm going to share tonight, some of them made mention, some articles I read made mention of a serial killer that was, or maybe two, or I said the wrong word, serial offender. I have to be careful what words I use, that were in Louisiana at one time or another, or maybe at the same time. So Chris says he mentioned Jeff Davis, that was in Jennings, Louisiana. Simi said, wait, that's the Jefferson Parish as serial offender. All right. Yes, absolutely cannot forget Moo the cat. And we had Moo sightings last night. Moo was being very vocal last night. Okay, I think I'm caught up. So Simi says that we had a serial offender in the 80s that went to Thibodaux High with my fella. Oh my goodness. That's scary. Wow. Okay, so I think I'm caught up. So we're going to get started right quick. If I can get my slideshow to work. There we go. So first, we have Janet Lambury Bryce. Let me get her information. So Janet has been missing since August 15th, 1982 from East Baton Rouge. She is a white female. She was just 21 years old when she went missing. She will be 64 years old as of 2026. When she went missing, she was 5'7" tall, 110 pounds. Excuse me, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She does have a tattoo of a flower on the webbing of one of her hands, a scar on her forehead, and a scar on one of her knees. She has a bump in the center of her forehead and a bump on the side of her chin. Her last known clothing was blue jeans and a white t-shirt with black stripes, gray sleeves, and the word Alaska printed on the front. So Janet had been at a bar in East Baton Rouge on August 15th, 1982, when she met a man whom she told her friends was an old school friend. And I believe I'd read a couple of articles that said this name of this friend she just told him was Randy, I believe. So Janet offered the man, this friend, a ride home. They left together from the bar. She dropped another friend off at her home and then continued with the man in the direction of Cedar Crest to drop him off. But then she never arrived back to her own apartment. And I'm unsure if the person that she was dropping off to stay with her was this Randy, who she said was an old high school friend. And then this other one was just another friend that she was going to take home because actually, I don't think I was able to find an article on her, but there was a web sleuth thread for her, and actually her sister had posted on this thread with some information that we'll go over after this. Some very, very interesting information. So Janet's, so after she dropped the one friend off that was going to spend the night, she went to take this other one home. She never arrived back to her own apartment. Her car, which was a Ford Galaxy 500, was found near Bel Air High School in East Baton Rouge a few weeks after her disappearance. And this is just so strange to me. The keys had been left in the car, and different people in the neighborhood that it had been left in had been driving the car, apparently. So that means if something happened in the car with whatever happened to her, then any kind of evidence with all these people driving it, then any kind of evidence would have been destroyed, or if they found it, and I don't even know if they processed the car. I think maybe it said, I read maybe in the web sleuths that her sister had said, they did kind of process the car, and I put that in quotations, process the car. But according to Ellie, they said they found nothing of evidentiary value in there. Well, I mean, if you've had at least, even with just one person, and it could have been more than one person, had been driving it around, because it said people in the neighborhood had been driving it around after it was found. Anyway, just messes up chain of command. It messes up. So anybody who drove that car, their DNA, fingerprints, whatever, are going to be in there. So let's just hope that there was not any kind of evidence that would have helped out with Janet's case that was in that car. So this old school friend who accompanied Janet at the time of her disappearance has never been identified. Janet was married at the time of her disappearance. She worked as a barmaid, and then her husband was working offshore when she disappeared. So I'm assuming he might have worked on one of the offshore oil drilling rigs out in the Gulf of Mexico. And when we get to the web sleuth information from her sister, there's some discrepancy about whether her husband actually when he actually went out to left to go to out to the oil rig or whatever he was doing offshore. See, apparently it was thought at some point that he left that weekend before she disappeared, but then there was some information that he may not have left until that Monday after she disappeared. So just a lot of discrepancies in this. So obviously the case is unsolved. She is considered missing under suspicious circumstances. Foul play is suspected in her disappearance. So if you do have any information, you can call the East Baton Rouge County Sheriff's Department at 225-389-5073. Let me get over to the web sleuth information and get down to where her sister was posting some things. Let me see. Okay, so the first post she made in July of 2012, she said, "Thank you for remembering my little sister. She would have been 51 today, and August will be the 30th anniversary of her disappearance. Any help you can offer will be greatly appreciated." She also posted, "Been missing you every day for the past 34 years," and this was in August 2016. She posted this. "Nothing worse than never knowing, always wondering, and forever hoping that one day soon you will come home." So then some other posters on the thread asked some very good questions. One of them asked, were the friends that Janet was with that night shown yearbooks from Janet's high school? It's possible that this old friend that she had, I think his name was Randy, or she called him Randy. It's possible that this old friend was from middle or elementary school, but I'm thinking probably high school. What name did she introduce the old friend as? And so the sister answered, said yes, they were all shown yearbooks going back to elementary school. She was part of a large group of friends that had known each other for years, going through elementary, middle, and high school together. They said that she referred to him as Randy, and he was not identified in any of the yearbooks. So that's interesting. And law enforcement made the comment that it was as if this Randy person just never existed. So I don't know. So I don't know why would she introduce him as, because she was with a group of friends, assumably that they had all gone to school together. So if this Randy person, if that was his real name, had gone to school with him, it looks like that they might have recognized him or picked him out of the yearbook. So I'm very confused about that part also, or I have questions about that part. So her sister said Jan, she calls her sister Jan, was last seen at the Rack Lounge on Airline Highway. She says all the schools that she attended were located in Baton Rouge. She went to Park Forest and Bel Air High School. And so apparently at one point they had checked in, law enforcement had just kind of checked to see if there was a possible connection to Henry Lee Lucas, because Henry Lee Lucas was kind of operating in the general area at the time that Janet went missing. I don't think they ever found anything definitive to link Lucas to Janet's disappearance. So somebody else posted, I believe at the time Ellie was just trying to connect many open cases to Lucas. Lucas did frequent Baton Rouge to Slidell. So yeah, he was in that area apparently. And I know there was some more maybe from her sister. She said yes. Somebody asked about the car, which they had found located 6 weeks later. She said yes, the car was located about 6 weeks later in the parking lot of a large apartment complex. The keys were left in the car, and the neighbor said it appeared to have been abandoned for about a month, and then someone started driving it. She said the police towed the car and found nothing of evidentiary value. But once again, even if you had one person, and let alone multiple people that had driven the car, any kind of evidence is going to be contaminated. Her sister said her case went cold and has remained that way ever since. So somebody asked, on her NamUs link, it says under DNA, the initial inquiry is underway. Did any of the family get noticed? They need DNA from family members. Her sister said, I believe my father may have received a notice, but I know that he did not follow through. He has since passed away. She also says that Janet had made plans to go swimming with a friend the next morning. She appeared to be in good spirits. And I think there is a second page. Let me skim through it right quick. Yeah, just lots of, I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? I mean, and I don't know who like I said, I'm just assuming, well, I don't know. I don't know if Randy was the one that spent the night at her house and woke up the next day. Because apparently, whichever one of them spent the night with her, he woke up the next day. She discovered she hadn't made it home. So I'm curious to know about this other person that she dropped off at wherever that person lived, and I'm assuming it's a male. Now I don't know. Hopefully, I'm assuming they talked to everybody, to both of them, and just didn't find it, But I think her sister, I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but I think I remember reading here on Web Sleuths that her sister does say, somebody had asked, I was curious, do you know the friend who was dropped off? Was he or she able to give a description of the man being in close quarters with him? The sister said, I don't remember his name, but apparently he was a well-known friend who drank too much to drive that night and had asked her if he could sleep at her apartment till sober enough to drive home. She agreed and left to give the other friend a ride home. When he woke up later that day, Janet had not returned, so he left her a note saying, just thanks for letting me sleep off, stay at the house, at your apartment, and sleep it off. Unfortunately, he was too inebriated to remember any details. He was known to be a frequent happy drunk with no evidence of violence in his background. His alibi was investigated, and he was cleared of any charges. So once again, at least the way I'm reading it, it's unclear whether this was the Randy person or the other one. Let me see if there's anything else. So her sister was just said that we all, talking about Janet, says we always laughed at each other. Jan was the party girl, and I was asleep after the first drink. As for the Doe Project and NamUs, she says I spent a great deal of time on those two websites several years ago, looking for anything similar, as far as similar to Jan. But given the time frame, her age, and physical characteristics, no one was even remotely comparable. She says, however, there was another woman who disappeared a couple of years later that was eerily similar to Jan. Her name was Donna Christina Banyan. And like Janet, she was tall, slender, blonde hair, blue eyes, tattoos, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. She worked at a lounge in Baton Rouge that was on the same highway as the one where Janet worked. She too left work one night and was never seen again. Very little information is available in that case, apparently, as well. But she said, I sure would like to compare notes with someone familiar with that case. think that was about all. Yeah, just not a whole lot of information on this, but I'm very curious about both of them, this Randy, whichever one he was, if he was the one that stayed at the house and was cleared, or if he was the other one that was taken, this one that was taken that she took home. When she went to take this person home, that's when she never made it back to her apartment. So did something happen between the time she dropped him off and was coming on her way back to her apartment, and something happened then? Or did this other person, possibly the last one to see her, I'm hoping they questioned everybody, but apparently they were never able to identify this Randy person, this old high school friend that she introduces as Randy. So I don't know. So I think somebody had asked if Janet was a college student at the time. Her sister says Jan never went to college. Her friends were all from high school or the neighborhood. Randy was supposedly the name of the friend that she was going to give a ride home. So maybe he wasn't the one that was going to spend the night. One witness stated that she was giving him a ride because he had some furniture to sell. So then they mention again, she says, now here's the thing about Randy. Ellie said that they interviewed all of the school friends who in turn went through all of the yearbooks. They said they spent a lot of time looking for him, but, quote, it's as if he never existed. However, there was a long-time neighborhood friend named Randy. They did go to school together, and he was neither well-liked nor trusted by Janet or any of the friends. She goes on to say he was later arrested on charges of SA. He was incarcerated. He is on the SO registry. It later came out that Jan did not want to give him a ride home, but she felt obligated. She says our family still has their suspicions. So maybe the Randy was the one that she was getting the ride home to, that she had introduced as the old school friend that was the not so good guy, maybe. She says also one piece of information turned up years later. Her husband. Okay, so this is where it mentions exactly when, trying to nail down exactly when her husband left. Her sister said her husband was scheduled to leave for his job on the tugboat that Friday. So to my knowledge, he was never investigated, but apparently due to bad weather, they didn't leave until the following Monday. So it is possible that her husband was still in town when she disappeared. So it's another option to think about. Let's see if there's anything else. So her sister says, so somebody asked a question. Says, so all of the friends that Jan was with that night saw Randy, and for what I can recall, Randy and the other friend Jan dropped off first was in the car prior to her disappearance. With that being said, was a photo of the neighborhood friend shown to Jan's friends that were there with that night. If her husband did not leave as scheduled, would he have been at the apartment where Jan dropped off her friend that had passed out at her apartment and then woke up and she had not returned? So her sister answers, good question. She said it was years before her husband let it slip that he had not been, or that he had been in town for that weekend. My mother said he was never investigated, and it always bothered her that they had never checked to see if he left as planned. He made the comment to my brother and sister-in-law, and they reported it to law enforcement, and that's as far as it went. She says, but I just realized we all assumed that he left that Friday because that's the alibi he gave, but obviously he lied. So where was he that whole weekend? If nothing happened, why would he flat out lie about his whereabouts? So that's interesting, very interesting. So her sister says, the more I think about it, the more some things make sense. Her car had been found in the parking lot of a large apartment complex about 6 to 8 weeks later. Someone had been driving it, but according to a neighbor, the car had been abandoned for about a month before someone just suddenly started driving it. She says, I always thought it was strange. Who would leave a car untouched for 30 days and then start using it? Except maybe someone who was out of town for a month working on the tugboat. I'm assuming she's referring to the husband. She says he would not have been able to get back into the apartment when he returned. So where was he staying? Yeah, so lots of unanswered questions here, in my opinion. I think that is all. I'm just going to skim through here right quick. I think that was all of it, unless there was another page. There's another page, but I don't know if there's anything pertinent. Oh, so Melanie Landry posted on here in September 2021. Hello, Janet is my aunt. I was sent these photos. It just has some candid photos of Janet. She says, I'm reading this comments. I'm dumbfounded by the lack of investigation that this case had. I don't want to name the person who sent these pictures, but I am hoping I can get some help. So if you guys want to go look at the pictures, all the links to all the online news sources I use, always, they're in the description box. But it's just some like kind of candid pictures of, I'm assuming, excuse me, Janet with her dog. Sorry, Janet with her dog, or a dog. Okay, so her other sister said a witness from the bar reported the name of the friend who was sleeping it off at her place. So he was the one that was investigated by LE and cleared. So the one that was actually sleeping at her place was cleared. So I'm assuming it's the Randy person that she was going to go take to his home or to somewhere. And then that's when she never made it back to the apartment. I think that's about all. I think that's about all. But yeah, just some. Yeah, very not confused, but I have questions. As Ms. Z would say, I have questions. Get caught up in your comments really quick and see if anybody snuck in on me while I was reading. Simi says Southern Louisiana has had several SKs. Hey, Josh. Welcome, my friend. Josh says, hi, all. Been lurking on the something. I'll have to be on the replay as I can barely keep them lids open. And Josh had a excellent live stream. He did a live stream right before Trial Junkies United. He was talking about the case of Melissa Cassius. Please correct me if that's the wrong name. That's a very bizarre case. Lots of questions in that one too. So please check out Josh's channel where lavender grows. I'm sure Mustang or somebody has already got the link in for Josh's channel. But thank you for dropping in, Josh. It's always a pleasure to see you. Miss Paula wants to know if it's considered suspicious. I would consider it suspicious. Yeah, most definitely. I want to know more about this friend that she dropped off, because just from this information we have, the person that she dropped off very well could have been the last person to see her alive. Now, I don't know, either that or something happened between the time when she dropped this person off and was trying to make her way back to her apartment, and she never made it back. So it's entirely possible that something happened between the time she left, dropping the other friend off, and going back to her apartment. If this person that she was dropping off didn't have anything to do with her disappearance. And I'm not saying that the friend did, but it's just something to think about. It's just something you have to consider. Sammy said, dang, she would have been almost my age now. Thank you. Yep, this is Josh's channel link where lavender grows. Please go check him out. Oh, I remember that book. I think we had to read that book in school. Mustang says, Josh, your channel name reminds me of where the red fern grows. Thank you. Simi said, I just went and subbed to Lavender Grows. Thank you so much. Josh said that, yeah, because she drove a Ford Galaxy 500. Josh says, my first car was a 73 Ford Galaxy 500. It was an army green, and I called it the Tank. Oh, goodness. Let me see. I'm just going to call that up right quick. Chris says, are you talking about in Louisiana? Chris says, I'm aware of a potential SO in the area during the summer 1980s and 1990s. You're talking about a serial offender or a registered SO? There's Dave. Hello, my friend. He's probably listening and driving. Yep, his next comment is always listening and driving. He's working. It's always good to have Dave pop in here. Please, once again, check out Al on the Prowl. Dave does excellent work. He does one live stream a week, late Saturday night, early Sunday mornings. And I actually stayed awake for the whole for his whole show this weekend. And it's not by any means because his content is boring. It's just I'm old, and I can't stay. Sometimes I can't stay awake that late. But I did make it all the way through his show this weekend. I was so proud of myself. Yes, Dave says, I hope everyone is well. Absolutely. We hope you're doing well too. Yes, patriotism said sad cases. Absolutely. Oh, Josh and Chris may be talking about cases in Texas. Dave make it to 400 subs too. Excellent. Mustang said, Al, congratulations on getting to 400 subs. You're awesome. Excellent. Yeah, Dave and we were talking about Child Junkies United had made it I think up over to 400 now, and just had their 1 year anniversary of their channel. Yeah, Dave is also very well deserving of having even more subs. So please, if you have not gone over and sub to Al on the Prowl, please do so. There's Junior. Hey, Junior. Good to see you. I know it's past your bedtime, but it's always good to see Junior here. I hope you're doing well tonight. Oh, now you're talking about OJ's case. Y'all gonna have me going down rabbit holes again. I haven't went down that rabbit hole in a long time. Oh Lord, is Cato still around? I didn't even know if he was still alive or not. Oh goodness. Simi says, so she's missing from Baton Rouge, but was she from there? Yes. Yes, she was from there. She'd gone to school there. She lived there. Let me go back to her Charley Project information. Yeah, and her sister said that she had gone to, elementary school, middle school, high school there. She worked at a bar there, and it was in East Baton Rouge. She worked at the bar in East Baton Rouge. And so it said her car was found near Bel Air High School, where her sister said that Bel Air High School was the high school that she went to. So yeah, I'm assuming that she had lived there for either all or most of her life. Yes, LSU. Yeah, I'm very familiar with LSU because my Razorbacks have to play them all the time. Yes, LSU is in Baton Rouge. Junior says, "Go Wolverines." There's Miss Peggy Breedenbach. Hello, ma'am. She says, "Hi, Dawn, and all here. Been lurking. Been lurking off off 7 on something. I can't read tonight. It's always good to have Miss Peggy here. Good to see you, ma'am. No, her body has not been found either. Her car was the only thing that was found. And I'm trying to remember if they found anything of hers in the car. It just says the keys have been left in the car, and different people in the neighborhood have been driving it. There was no sign of her in the car. She has never been heard from again. And that doesn't say if she had like a purse or a wallet with her, or so this was in 82, so no cell phone. I'm assuming they didn't find anything of hers in the car, but they did find the car. I think it said 6 to 8 weeks later is when they found the car. Read what book? Miss Paula says read that book. I'm always looking for book recommendations to read. Oh, okay. So Simi says, I was just wondering because my fella is related to some Landrys, but they're from down the bayou, not the city. Okay. Gotcha. Really? Simi says that Swamp People's Troy Landry is my fella's second cousin. Wow. Oh, Peggy says, sorry, I meant to say lurking on and off, sometimes sitting at my laptop watching. I gotcha. I gotcha. So, okay, so Junior says you guys are night owls. I have been staying up later now that the weather is getting nice. I go to bed early in the winter when it gets dark at 5 p.m. I know I'm so bad when before the time the different time change they do where it gets dark, at 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm ready to go to bed by like 6 or 7 o'clock. That's why I do like it better when it changes to where it stays daylight till around here till about 6 or 7 o'clock. I'm the kind that would rather have more light at the end of the day than at the beginning of the day, because I don't, unless I absolutely have to, I don't get up early. Because the job I have, I do Spark, so I can work whenever I want to, and it's always busier in the afternoons anyway with the grocery deliveries. So I would rather it be dark later at night. All right, I'm caught up, and I think that is all the information I had on Janet. So we will go to the next one. I need to advance my slide. Which should be Charles Catlett. And this is another one that's just disappeared into thin air. Although obviously we know that can't happen. So Charles has been missing since August 19th, 81 from Baton Rouge. He is a white male. He was 56 years old when he went missing. He would be 101 as of 2026. When he went missing, he was 6'2" tall and 210 pounds, with gray hair and hazel eyes. It says he did wear a toupee. The last known clothing jewelry description was that he was wearing a gold ring with a square red stone and a gold Timex wristwatch with a stretch band. It didn't say anything about any kind of health problems or anything of that nature. Charles was I seen in Baton Rouge when he had called his office to say that he was on his way to a meeting. He never arrived to this meeting. Was never seen again after that. 2 weeks later, his car was found abandoned in Denver, Colorado. His credit cards were subsequently used at gas stations, stores, and motels in New York, Colorado, Alabama, Missouri, Kansas, and Louisiana. But the person using the cards was not Mr. Catlett. So the person that was seen using these cards was described as a man in his 20s with a slim build. So that's all the description that we have. And apparently a California man was questioned in connection with Mr. Catlett's case, but no charges were filed against that individual. Mr. Catlett left behind a wife and 3 children when he vanished. His wife says that they had no domestic problems. He had no reason to leave without warning. But one thing I do find interesting is that he did kind of have a high-level job, as it was described. He was employed as the director of the Director of Industrial Development for Illinois Central Gulf Railroad at the time of his disappearance, and his case remains unsolved. So if you do have any information, once again, you can call the Baton Rouge PD at 225-389-8617 or 225-389-3844. And so I was able to find on newspapers.com, which I think I got through a link on the Web Sleuths, a newspaper clip. And I don't know what paper it's from, but it says detectives are tracking a zigzag trail of shady credit card purchases over thousands of miles to try to determine why a railroad lobbyist disappeared here. The other clue in the case is Charles Catlett's abandoned car, discovered last week in a Denver God, I can't talk tonight. Yeah, Denver suburb, according to officials. Catlett, 56, Director of Industrial Development for Illinois Central Gulf Railroad, was a common figure at the state capitol until August 19th, which was the day that he was last seen, according to his co-workers. That morning, he left his home like any other day. They said he had a meeting with Mayor Pat Screen that was canceled. But he later called so this is interesting. So he later called the office to say that he was meeting someone on the city's airline highway at around 1:30 p.m. Illinois Central General Manager Norvell Strickland said, quote, "No one thought anything about it at the time. We don't know where he called from or who he was supposed to meet or where," end quote. He said, quote, "It does add an element of mystery." So I have questions about this person. So like I said, I said he had like kind of like a high profile job. But I mean, if he was meeting, it said he was a common figure at the state capitol. he was meeting with the mayor. So that kind of tells me that, you know, he was kind of in with, or, you know, associated, what's the word I'm looking for? Acquainted with, you know, officials, higher up officials. They said they had no idea who he was supposed to meet with, if it had anything to do with the job or something different, you know, something else. But I have questions about this person that he was going to meet. Police were unwilling to disclose many details or to say if they suspect foul play. One detective said, quote, "We have some possibilities that we are working on. They may pan out and they may not," end quote. However, investigators said that credit card slips began coming in later in the month, starting with an August 19th gasoline purchase in the Baton Rouge area that was apparently signed by someone other than Mr. Catlett. 2 more gasoline buys were made in Alabama the next day. His charge cards also were used later in stores and motels in Alabama and Kansas City. On August 29th, a slim man in his 20s used a card to rent a New York City motel room. And then they say Mr. Catlett was stocky, so that did not fit the description of a tall, slim man. But unfortunately, New York police arrived too late to catch this person that was using the card. The latest discovery of Catlett's company car in suburban Denver last week is being combed by authorities for new clues, according to the railroad officials. But Strickland said, quote, "It is not encouraging." So I'm assuming he meant haven't found any kind of clues or anything to help them when they searched the car. He said that Catlett had just 3 years left until he was eligible for retirement. He was considered a steady worker, and his boss or somebody he worked with said none of it really seems to make any sense. Yeah, I would say it does not make sense to me. I don't know. I just want to know. I'm wanting to think that, and I don't, I'm just assuming. I don't like to assume a whole lot, but I'm just assuming maybe this person that he was going to meet, that the people he worked with had no clue who it was, why they were meeting. I mean, was that the same person that ended up with the car and the credit cards? We don't know. So let me see if there's anything additional that was on his web sleuth thread. I don't know if there was or not. Okay, so there was somebody had posted in February of 2019. Apparently a John Doe was found. Oh, so it says, here's a good connection. Charles Catlett went missing 1 week before this John Doe was found, and I'm not going to put the picture up because it is a picture of the head, from neck up of a deceased person. But once again, the link is in the about section, so you can look at it if you want to. But they said that Charles Catlett went missing 1 week before this John Doe was found, and his car was found only 150 miles away from this Doe in Denver. He also had a gold watch that they mentioned was missing. And I can tell you, I'm looking at the pictures, and so they have a picture, the same picture basically that I have on the side of Mr. Catlett, and then this John Doe. It's similar. It's similar. But I don't know. They said something. So this Doe was found 1 week after Charles went missing. So that's interesting, something to think about. But you would think, because just for what they show of the doe, he looks, considering that he is no longer with us. I mean, you would have think they would have been able to take DNA samples. And now I don't know if, did it say if John and his, or Charles and his wife, had any kids? The kids are still alive. They, I guess, or at that time they could have gotten DNA, even DNA from their house, from a hairbrush or something, maybe, to compare to the DNA of this John Doe. But I'm assuming nothing came of it, because I don't think that was mentioned again. Just trying to see if there's any other little just one person that's posting on this thread said, in this case, it's most likely, so this is just whoever's posting this, that's their opinion. In this case, it's most likely that he was assaulted, kidnapped, and his life was taken. An important man like this with a high position was perhaps already being followed, and they waited for a moment until he was alone. Possibilities. Just once again, something to think about. But please, as always, let me know in chat what you guys think. Let me know. Leave a comment if you're watching replay. Your thoughts, questions, theories on any of these cases that we're going to talk about tonight. Let me get back down in your comments. I keep forgetting to mark where I left off. Okay. I think I went too far down. Okay. Simi says they're an early riser. I watch sunrise every morning. I can't remember the last time I've seen the sunrise, unless it's just because of my insomnia and I was just been awake all night and watched the sunrise. Ms. Z must have heard us talking about her. Were your ears burning? Hello, Ms. Z from Chocolate Junkies United. Good to see you. She's sorry I'm late. You're fine. You're fine. It's always glad to have you here. I hope you and Doc and Moo the cat are doing well tonight. Once again, congratulations. We were already talking about earlier about your you hit your 1 year anniversary for your channel. You're up over 400 subscribers. And I, as always, told everybody who hasn't already to go over and subscribe and watch and like and share and comment. So we're just so very happy for Child Junkies United. So Simi says, in my opinion, this one is political. It could be, because like I said, and I don't know exactly what his capacity was. It just said he was, let me go back to the Charley Project information. Let me go to the right tab before I kick myself out of the show here. Just said he, well, it doesn't say in here. No, it said he was employed as the Director of Industrial Development for Illinois Central Gulf Railroad. And then in the article, it said that he was a well-known figure at the Capitol. He had meetings with the governor or the mayor. So your Simi, your theory or thought may not be too much out of the realm of possibility. Could very well be, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, if he has some kind of high up position and he's meeting, he's in the Capitol, he's meeting with the mayor, most definitely. Oh, what's the other case? Simi said that's the second case with Airline Highway. Nobody drive that road. Yes, absolutely. Ms. Z says Louisiana is known for political corruption. You are correct. You are correct, ma'am. Yep, Simi says facts. Um, yeah, Ms. Z says sounds like someone made him disappear. I know that's what I'm thinking, and I'm in the same vein as Simi, on the same trajectory as Simi, saying could have been something political to do with his job. Yeah, Simi says he knew something about the wrong person. In my opinion, absolutely possible. Hey, UCC, unindicted conspirator. Once again, I can't talk. Rolling in late, excited to see if I know any rumors from my college stomping grounds. Uh-oh, did you go to college at LSU? I don't know if we can be friends anymore. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Arkansas and LSU, are big rivals in the sports in the SEC. It's good to have you here, UCC, always. Let me see. UCC says, what was his job? He was the director. Let me go back. It's a director of industrial development for Illinois Central Gulf Railroad. Apparently, he was in cozy somewhat with the politicians. He was he was a well-known figure at the Capitol. It said he had meetings with the mayor. So he does have some political ties. Yes, that show you, Bizzy says, thanks. We had fun last night. Yeah, that show you did last night was so fun. So fun. Just talked about anything and everything: TV shows, movies, books. We had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yep. Yeah. I know you're subbed. Yeah. Simi says I'm subbed. I love Z, Moo, and Dog. Yeah, I've seen Simi in the chats. In the chats over there. Yes, Miss Paula definitely says red flaggy. Absolutely. Yes, UCC says politics is a blood sport in Louisiana, hence my relocation. Yeah. Yeah, going way, way back to the, as I call it, the old days. The old days, way back when. Oh, so UCC says, ooh, that's why he looks so familiar. Sorry, I got pop-ups. Simi says, yep, it was rumored that he was bumped off. Yeah. Simi says, I live in Thibodaux. I concur. Yeah, go Tigers. Says UCC says go Tigers. Graduated high school at 83. Went to LSU. Actually, one of my baby brother's good friends is a professor at LSU. Professor in the arts department. Okay, I think I'm caught up, and I believe we went through everything that we had on. Just let me check one more time on Mr. Catlett. So we will go to the next one. The next one we have is Nahendra Davis. So Nahendra was last seen on December 27th, 2018. She is a Black female. She was 35 years old. When she went missing, she would be 42 years old as of 2026. At the time she went missing, she was 5'3" to 5'5" tall and 150 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Her ears are pierced. Her nickname is Nini or Nini, and some accounts refer to her as Nahendra Davis Brown instead of Nahendra Davis. So Nahendra was last seen when she dropped off her 2 children at her mother's home in the Glen Oaks area of Baton Rouge at around 4:45 p.m. on December 27th, 2018, which was her 35th birthday. So she went missing on her birthday. She has never been seen or heard from again. Her vehicle, which is a white 2015 Dodge Challenger, was later found abandoned in the 6900 block of Scenic Highway near 72nd Avenue in Baton Rouge. Her purse, keys, and some cash were still inside the car. Authorities stated that there was no evidence of foul play in Nahendra's case, but it is uncharacteristic of her to leave without any warning, and her family fears that she may have met with foul play. Her case remains unsolved, and actually the Baker, Louisiana police are investigating, so I don't know why. I've never heard of Baker, Louisiana. Now I know where all the other, Baton Rouge and all the other places we talked about are. But if you do have any information, apparently you can call the Baker Police Department at 225-775-6000. And let me see what I was able to find on her. I was able to find a couple of articles with some just some statements from some law enforcement and family members. And this first article is 6 months after she went missing. If it'll load, there it goes. So this article is from May of 2019. It says a new year, Easter and Mother's Day have all passed since Nahendra Davis was last seen dropping her children off at her mother's house. As police actively continue their investigation into her disappearance, her family hopes that she will return home safe and sound. Miranda Knox, who is Nahendra's mother, finds peace by running each day at the LSU lakes. Miss Knox said, quote, "Out here is like a relief for me, and when I come out here, it helps me relieve my mind and concentrate." But the serenity of the lakes was a far cry from the anguish that her family has been feeling for months. Her mother said, quote, "We have our good days, we have our bad days, and it's just been rough." Although she is dealing with the death of her own mother, her only daughter has been missing since December of 2018, and police have not said much, apparently. Her mother said, quote, "I got this, I got that, we're doing this, we're doing that. That's what I want to hear from the law enforcement. Tell me something, not just me finding information and bringing it to you." So I guess you're saying maybe that she's found more information than maybe law enforcement has, something of that nature. Once again, Nahendra was last seen on December 27th, which was her 35th birthday. Her car was later found in the area of Scenic Highway and 72nd Street, where both Baker and Baton Rouge police worked to process the vehicle, finding no sign of where she could be. Her car was found untouched with her purse and cash still inside. And Baker police say that they went through security videos, they talked to witnesses, but still no sign of Davis. Captain Kelvin Miller of the Baker Police Department said, quote, "We have gotten tips that she has been seen in other locations where other agencies have went out and made contact with the person that they were describing, and it wound up being somebody totally different," end quote. So it was not Nahendra. Davis's information was recently entered into both local and national databases for missing people, but there's no timeline on if or when that will produce any answers. Captain Miller said, quote, "Without concrete evidence, we're just going to work it in hopes of finding her or until we find an answer," end quote. Until there are definitive answers on what happened, her family leans on each other. Her mother says, quote, "If I see my grandson or my granddaughter looking sad, I'll go give them a hug and talk to them, ask them what they are thinking. Are they thinking happy thoughts? I might give them some comfort. We all laugh and make jokes, and we're all just there for each other, end quote. So once again, anyone with information on Nahendra's disappearance is urged to contact Baker Police at 225-775-6000. Just, it always breaks my heart with these families, with the mamas and I don't know if she had, did it say if Nahendra had any children? I'm thinking she did, but I'm not. Yeah, because she dropped off her children. I believe this is when she dropped off her children with her mom to babysit while she was going to go out, apparently, go out and celebrate her birthday with maybe some friends. But I think it says, it might be this next article, that her parents, her mom her family didn't really have any idea, where she was going, who she was going to be going out with, when she was going to be home, things of that nature. All right, let me find the other article. So this article is from January of 2019. Family pleads for answers as search for missing Baker mother continues. A family is crying out for answers more than 2 weeks after 35-year-old Nahendra Davis vanished. Her mother, Miranda Knox, says that it has been tough for them the last few days. Her mom says, quote, "It's like a nightmare, and it just feels like I'm just going to wake up and it's all just going to be a dream," end quote. The Baker mother was last seen on her birthday, December 27th. She dropped her two kids off at her mom's house, has not been seen or heard from since. Once again, her car was found abandoned later. Says there are no, while they do tell WAFB there were no signs of foul play, there were also no clues in the car to help find her. Her mother says, quote, "That's not her. We've always known if she was going, we've always known if she was going somewhere, always. This is something that's just so out of the ordinary for her." So when I read these two articles, that caught my attention, because I know I read that because there were several articles that came up for this case, and in one of the articles it read that whenever she would drop the kids off, when grandma would babysit, that they always knew where she was going, kind of maybe who she was going to be with, when approximate time of when she was going to be back. But apparently this night when she disappeared, the family had no idea where she was going, who she was going out with, when she was going to be back. So I found that interesting. So the mom says that she cannot make any sense of the strange disappearance, and says that she cannot help but think the worst. In the darkness of this moment, though, she says her faith is lighting the way forward. Her mom said, quote, "Without God, I could not do anything. He has worked with me from the inside out, and without his help, I just can't do it," end quote. Or she says, quote, "He is holding me up and giving me the strength that I need," end quote. Despite the grim circumstances, family and friends have not given up. They have spent the past few weeks passing out flyers and water bottles with Davis's picture, while holding out hope that their loved one will come home. Davis's former, so who was Davis? Davis was one of the law enforcement, I'm assuming. I've forgotten now. It says Davis's, no. It says Davis's former co-workers at BRPD joined her family for a candlelight vigil service, pleading for a safe return. Trinette McKenzie, who is one of Davis's former co-workers, said, quote, "Just hold your heads up and keep praying. God did not bring you this far to leave you," end quote. As the days stretched into weeks, Davis's mother is asking anyone with information to do the right thing in hopes that her daughter will be found safe. Her mother says, quote, "Just pray for us. That's all we can do is pray and ask everyone to pass the word," end quote. And I think she did have a Web Sleuth thread. If I can find the right, there it is. I don't know if I was able to find any, maybe a little tidbit of information that wasn't mentioned in any of these articles. Just looking to see. I think it, now take this with a grain of salt, because this did, if I can find it, didn't come from law enforcement. So before we get to that, somebody had posted, about, what I was talking about earlier, the same thing I thought. Says she dropped off her kids at her mother's at 4:45 p.m. on her birthday, and didn't tell her mother where she was going. No plans with family, friends, or coworkers that evening to celebrate her birthday. And when was she supposed to be returned to pick up her kids? Were they going to stay a few days at grandma's since school was out? See, that's the questions I had, especially after it said that she, most of the time before, they always knew kind of where she was going, when to expect her back, things of that nature, maybe who she was going to go out with. But this night that she disappeared, apparently they had no clue where she was going, who she was going to be with, when to expect her back. Okay, so this, somebody posted, now once again, it's coming from Web Sleuth, so it's not a verified news source. It says that her car was actually found in water in a flooded area with the keys inside, in addition to her purse and credit cards. If she drove into a flooded street and couldn't get out, she may have had to flee the vehicle in possible fast-moving water. Like I said, in none of the articles I found did it mention that they found the car in any kind of water, so I don't know about that. So I don't know if that's true or not. Only thing official that has come out in news sources, it just says that her car was found a few miles away in Baton Rouge near Scenic Highway and 72nd Avenue. So I don't know about the water thing. But I mean, if it was in water, depending on how deep it was, because you have flash floods that can most definitely take a person and a car down a river or a flooded area. So I don't know if that was, I just don't think that was the case. I don't know, but absolutely let me know what you guys think. Like I said, on Web Sleuth, that's the only mention that I saw about that they found the car in water. So I don't know about that. So we're not gonna confirm that. All right, let me. Okay. Okay, so are you talking about Baker? So UCC said it's a suburb. Are you talking about Baker is a suburb of Baton Rouge? So maybe that's why the Baker PD was, it said to call the Baker PD. Or maybe you were talking about a completely different conversation that y'all were having in chat. Yamazi says, we lived in Baton Rouge for 8 years. I haven't really spent a lot of time. Now, I have been down to Louisiana frequently. Now, we might have passed through Baton Rouge, but every time we go down to Louisiana, well, I've only been to New Orleans once, and when the one and only cruise that I went on, it left out of New Orleans. But now we used to go down to Mardi Gras, down to Shreveport, Bossier City, to Mardi Gras, uh, 7, 8, 9, 10 times over the years. I might have passed through Baton Rouge, just going somewhere else. Going out east. But I've not spent a lot of time in Baton Rouge. Let's see here. Just want to see if anybody has any question. I don't want to miss any questions or thoughts or comments. There's JP. JP made it. Says I just woke up. Yay. Welcome, JP. It's always good to have you here. That's a good question. Miss Paula said maybe she wanted to do her own thing. Did she have a boyfriend? It's possible. Not, it doesn't mention that she did, but now that doesn't mean she didn't. Yeah, because apparently on this night, like I said, her parents didn't know where she was going, who she was going out with, when to expect her back. So it is possible that she was had a gentleman friend that she was going to spend her birthday with. Absolutely possible. Let me go back to her Charley Project information. I have to sometimes I get my cases mixed up. I have to refer back just to go back to the timeline. So she dropped the kids off with her 2 children off at her mother's home in the Glen Oaks area of Baton Rouge at around 4:45. Apparently, after she left the house, she was never seen again after that. But her vehicle, the Charger, was found later found abandoned, and I don't know how much later. It just says later. Found abandoned in the 6900 block of Scenic Highway near 72nd Avenue. So I don't know what the timeline was between when she disappeared, when they found the vehicle, and how far away where they found the car was from her mother's house. So that would be interesting to know. Purse, keys, cash, all found inside. And I wonder if if it was just like one friend, maybe a gentleman friend or a group of friends. If they've talked, if she was going to be meeting with a group of friends, did they get in touch with these friends? Did the friends become concerned when she didn't show up to meet them at wherever? I don't know if they were going to meet, at a restaurant, at a bar, or a club, whatever, to celebrate the birthday. It did not mention any of the friends or anybody coming forward to say, hey, Nahendra was supposed to meet us or me at this particular place at this time. She never showed up. That will be good to know also. But just limited information we have. And it could be that people did come forward to the police and the police just have not released that information publicly. That's also a possibility. Thank you, Junior. Junior says, good night, Dawn, and everyone. I'll be listening as I get ready for bed. Thank you, my friend. Always good to have you here. You have a good, restful night. UCC says, odds of trafficking. She is attractive. See, how old was she? She was 35. Everything's a possibility. I never take anything off the table. I always have most of us here, always have an open mind to keep all possibilities. But possibility, just something we have to think about. Yeah, that's also a good point. Miss Paula makes a good point. Does anyone ever tell their parents everything? No. But just from what I gathered from those the comments that her mom had made, that most of the time when she was going somewhere and maybe grandma was babysitting, that and Nahendra would let them know. She said we always knew where she was going, where she was going to be at. But this night, they apparently did not know where she was going, who she was going with, when she was going to be back. No, Avery, she has never been found. Her car was found with her wallet and her keys. Maybe the phone. I can't remember if it mentioned the phone. Were found in the car, and some cash. But Nahendra, has never been found. See, that's what I always think. Avery says it has, in her opinions, it has to be foul play for her to leave purse and cash. I know. If I'm going to leave, and we talked about this, I think, in Josh's live when he was talking about the Melissa Cassius case Sunday. When she left, and we kind of came to our thought was that she may have left on her own accord for whatever reason. But yeah, if I'm going to leave on my own accord, I'm definitely going to take my wallet, my phone, at the very least, because you think about it. If you're gonna, for whatever reason, if you just want to walk away from your family and start a new life, you're gonna have to. So if you're gonna go wherever you're gonna go, to a new state, a new city, whatever, and maybe you're still gonna have to get a job. You have to have your ID for tax purposes, so they can get your income tax information. You have to have your ID for things like that. If she was going to get a new car, and the car thing still, I mean, why would she abandon her car? I mean, it looks like if she was going to leave on her own, she would have just taken the car. Did she take off walking? Did she call somebody to come pick her up? That maybe I think Paula or somebody, whoever, I think Paula mentioned, did she have a boyfriend? Did she have a boyfriend? And they were going to go off together and start a new life somewhere. That might explain if she did leave of her own accord. We're just going down this rabbit hole for a minute. If she did leave of her own accord or with somebody, she left her car, and the person she was leaving with had a car, but still you have to have some form of ID to do most everything. Definitely to get a job for tax purposes. They have to have they have to have at least your social security number. I don't know about the ID, but they have to have your social security. And I'm pretty sure, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you do have, or can they trace social security numbers to see if they've been used? I know they can trace like bank accounts and IDs and stuff like that, debit cards. But you would have to have, if there's a way that they could check to see if her social security number had been used, like for tax purposes for a job. So I don't know. I'm confounded with this one. So I don't know. To me, that maybe makes it more likely, or more possible, plausible, probable, possible, whatever word you want to use, that there was some kind of foul play, something did happen. Okay. So UCC says if I remember correctly, the scenic highway is like a 2-lane road that parallels the Mississippi River. Interesting. So now that would concern me more if they did not find her car. Then that could have been, if they didn't find the car, and if somebody may have seen her heading toward that road in her car, possibly it could have been an accident. She and the car went in the river, but I mean, they found the car. Now, that doesn't mean that she didn't end up in the river if it was some kind of foul play. But that's interesting. Okay, so UCC says, yes, the FBI can check a social security number activity. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me see if I had anything else. Okay, so she does have a web sleuth thread. Did we go over that? I don't think we went over it. Let's see if there's anything else. Any little tidbit of information. I think we did go through it. Somebody had posted on the thread, I wonder what her mental state was when she dropped the kids off. Did she know she was in danger of some kind, or was it a routine drop off for babysitting? From everything I've read, it was just a routine. It was her birthday. She wanted to go out and celebrate her birthday. Grandma said she would babysit the kids while she went out to celebrate her birthday. Oh, so no, this is the web sleuth was where the supposedly that the car was found in water or something. So, like I said, we took that with a grain of salt because it didn't come from any news source. All right, so we will keep thinking about this one. So next we have, and this, oh my goodness. So this one, this is one of the kind of cases that keep me up at night. It's just like somebody vanished into thin air. This is Jeremiah Jamal Parker. Very strange. Now I have a couple of ideas. But let me give you the information. So Jeremiah went missing on was last seen on April 11th, 2004. He's a black male. He was just 19 years old when he went missing. He would be 41 years old as of 2026. When he went missing, he was 5'6" tall and 120 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. His last known clothing was baggy gray, size 31-32, long shorts, a white t-shirt, a Los Angeles Dodgers baseball cap, and a watch. Okay, so this is where it gets weird. So Jeremiah was last seen with a cousin at approximately 6 p.m. on April 11th, 2004 at the North Sherwood Forest Park in Baton Rouge. So he left his car, which was a red 1993 Pontiac Grand Am, behind the tree line in the northwest corner of the park. He left his cousin, and everything I could find did not say how old his cousin was and whether it was male or female. So he left the cousin inside the vehicle while he went into the park, and it was a wooded area. So apparently he told the cousin that he wanted to go into this park, this wooded area, to find a cell phone holder, not a cell phone holder that apparently he had lost in this area at some point before this point. So after he left the cousin in the car, went into the woods, he never returned out of the woods. A search for him uncovered only his cell phone and one shoe about 50 yards from where he left the car parked with the cousin inside. So this is, and I think and I did find a couple of other sites, but so it was only 50 yards from where they found his, when they went to look for him, only about 50 yards from where they found the cell phone and just one shoe from the car. So 50 yards is not really that far. It's like half of a football field. So his loved ones are puzzled by his disappearance. He had not gone missing before. Said that he never even spent the night away from home without telling his parents. He worked at a Wendy's restaurant. He attended Baton Rouge Community College. It does say that he had seen the movie The Passion of the Christ shortly before his disappearance. It was said that he was deeply moved by the movie, and after watching the movie, he told his family members that he, quote, would be leaving soon, end quote. It is unclear what he meant by this statement or whether the film had anything to do with his disappearance. His case remains unsolved. It says he may have traveled to Canada, so I don't know where that comes from, after he was last seen. So if you do have any information, you can call the Baton Rouge Police Department at 225-389-2000 or 225-389-8617. So let me find this. Okay, so this next one is just a post from a Facebook page or group. And it may take a second for it to come up. Oh, come on. Yeah, Simi says, well, that's strange. Oh, I know. I have questions. I mean, I have thoughts. Oh, of course, it's not coming up, but I think it just in this, and I think it was from the Vivid Faces of the Vanished, maybe. On Facebook, they did mention that there was a pond in that area where he was in that wooded, forested area. I'm hoping, I'm sure. I mean, I'm going to go on the assumption that they did check the pond. Hopefully, didn't find anything. Yeah, I don't think that is going to come up, but I did have. Or no, maybe that's all I had on him. Maybe let's think about another one. Oh, dadgummit, it did come up. Hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, here it is. Now I got to bring it back up. 1 second. I'm having technical difficulties. Maybe it'll come back up. That is my question. Mustang read my mind, or she's on the same wavelength as I am. So he left his phone. She said, "Why leave the watch?" He left the phone and one shoe. See, the one shoe gets me. So just by my thinking is if. So the two possibilities I came up with was he left of his own accord. It was possibly some kind of self-harm, but you would think that they would have found something. Or he just told his cousin that he was going to go in and look for the cell phone holder, which to me does not make sense. No cell phone holder or cell phone cover that I've ever had is worth going into a woods to look for. Now, if it was a phone, maybe, but a phone holder, no. So that didn't make sense to me. And then why just the one shoe? Because you would think if he was going to leave, if he was going to take his shoes off himself for whatever reason, when I take my shoes off or kick them off, they're going to be right there together. You know, in the same general area or side by side, you're going to find the shoes together. But they only found one shoe. So then I thought, well, if he was either, instead of this excuse he made up that he was going to go into, you know, the reason that he was going into this wooded area was to look for the cell phone holder. Was he going in there to meet somebody? And did this person or persons that he was going in there to meet, did something nefarious happen then? Because if you only found one shoe, that says to me that maybe some kind of struggle occurred and he lost one of his shoes. He took off running and just, you know, lost one of the shoes running, and they just never found it. Or it was still on him when whatever happened to him happened. So that is my thought. I mean, was he going in there to meet someone? He just didn't want his cousin to know that he was going in there to meet someone. But I don't think, if this article will come up. Okay, so here it is. So this is from the Vivid Faces of the Vanished on Facebook. Their post. It says his cousin said that he walked into the woods and never came back. The disappearance of Jeremiah Jamal Parker. It was Easter Sunday in Baton Rouge. Sunlight, families, children laughing, grill smoking. The kind of day that feels safe. 21-year-old Jeremiah Jamal Parker had plans, dreams, and a life that he was actively building. A college at Baton Rouge Community College, shifts at Wendy's, steps towards something better. That evening, he and his cousin drove to North Sherwood Forest Park. Jeremiah wanted to search for a cell phone holder that he had lost there before. He parked his red 1993 Pontiac Grand Am in the northwest corner of the park, left the engine running, and said that he would be right back. At around 6 p.m., he walked behind a row of trees near the fishing pond, and he never came back. His cousin waited as daylight faded into night, but Jeremiah never returned. He said there's no scream, there's no struggle, no witnesses, just silence where he should have been. So apparently the cousin didn't hear no screaming, no sounds of a struggle. I don't know if maybe didn't see anybody else come and go at the time frame that Jeremiah was in there. A search turned up only his cell phone and one of his shoes, found about 50 yards from where the Grand Am was. Jeremiah never showed up to work. He never called. He never came home. He just simply vanished. It says, how does a young man disappear in broad daylight from a crowded park? What happened behind that row of trees? Who knows the truth about Jeremiah's final steps? So yeah, that's just so bizarre. But yeah, I don't know. I just had the feeling that maybe he was going in there to meet somebody or somebody's, more than one person, but maybe just one person. And then something happened there and a struggle ensued and he lost a shoe. He took off running to try to get away from somebody. And he lost one of his shoes, or he wasn't meeting anybody and he was legitimately going in there to find a cell phone holder. And there was somebody else that he maybe didn't know in the woods, that some, not so good people that for whatever reason decided to attack him or whatever. And, something like that happened, but I don't know. Because it said he had been there before, obviously, because he well, at least according to the story he gave his cousin, that he had been there before, or was going to look for the cell phone holder that he lost at some point when he had been there before. So had he been there before to meet somebody, or just did he like to go to that area and just walk around? Very, very strange. Very strange. I have so many questions. Okay, so I was wondering about the pond. UCC said, just looked online. That is a big pond. God, I hope they search that pond, because if he did go in there intending some kind of self-harm or whatever, because he made the comment to his family after watching that, he watched The Passion of the Christ, very moved by it, and at some point after he watched it, he told his family that he was going to be leaving soon. Did that mean leaving soon as in some sort of self-harm, or what, or was just going to leave and go somewhere else? So yeah, the pond, to me, the pond is a big thing. Hopefully they searched it very well, because it is, we all know it is very hard to find people in water. Mustang says alligator. I don't know that part of people who are familiar with that area. I don't know if alligators would have been in that area, but a possibility. So Ms. Z says Sherwood Forest is a housing area. We lived over there. It is a nice area. So So I wonder if this housing area was on this side of the wooded area where he went into the woods at. Maybe he was going to go in there and walk through and go to meet somebody at the housing area. I don't know. To me, I don't know. What gets me is just finding the one shoe and the cell phone. Just finding the one shoe just makes me think that there was some kind of struggle where he lost the shoe, or he took off running from somebody and lost the shoe, and then something, they caught up to him or something. I don't know. So UCC says that certainly the water looks big enough for a few alligators. So that's another possibility we have to look at. Simi says, I'm sure there will be visible evidence if he tussled a gator. I don't know. See how tall. So Jeremiah wasn't that big. I mean, relatively, he was 5'6", 120 pounds. Now I do know there are some big gators down in Louisiana. So there, it's very possible that if it was a big gator that got a hold of him that was in that pond, there unfortunately might not be a whole lot left. Mustang says alligator could explain one shoe and the cell phone. Absolutely. Yeah, drag marks. Yeah. Now, yeah, because if he did maybe go down to the edge of the pond, because alligators do like to hide down in the water and kind of ambush any prey. You would think that there would have been drag marks. Absolutely. Yeah, see, me and Z are on the same wavelength. She says, sounds like he was going to meet someone in the woods. See, that was my first thought, because it just did not make sense to me. Why go? Like I said, no cell phone holder, cell phone cover that I've ever had is worth going into the woods to try to find. I would just go and buy me a new one. Now, if it was the phone, maybe I would go in and look for it. But for a holder or a cover, no, I'm not going into some woods to try to find the cell phone cover. Just, but I don't know. Everybody's different. Maybe it was expensive, or maybe it was special to him some way, and he just wanted to find it. But I just have my gut feeling is that he did go in there to meet someone, and just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't want his cousin to know. that he was going to go meet someone for whatever reason. Yeah, that is true. Simi says it would have to be a pretty big alligator to take a whole man. That's true. That is true. Yeah, yeah. Mustang says it is weird. I know. Yeah, my gut feeling is that he went in there to meet somebody. Now, was it somebody he was meeting for the first time? Was it somebody he knew? Did some kind of altercation occur, and that's when the phone was lost, and or he dropped the phone, he lost his shoe, either in the struggle or he took off running? To me, that's the only thing that makes the most sense to me. Is something happened with whoever he could have possibly been meeting. Yeah, Simi says if a gator got him by the water side, then the placement of his shoe and phone don't make sense. Yeah, I don't know how far away from the pond that the shoe and the phone were found. It did not give the condition of the shoe. Ms. Z said, could you let me know what condition the shoe was in? Did it look like it had been dragged? It did not say. It just said that the only thing that was found was the shoe and the phone. It did not say what kind of condition the shoe was in. But that is an excellent point. That would have been good to know. Yeah, that he also could have been dragged out of his shoe. Maybe he was incapacitated and somebody was, maybe one or more persons was pulling him, like maybe from under the arms and dragging him, and it would have dragging him. He would have been going backwards and could have dragged one of the shoes off. Absolutely. Oh, UCC says that's mating season for alligators and they get pretty pissy. Have they confirmed that? I heard about that. They had found remains. So Avery says, did y'all see the remains of Molly Miller and Colt Haynes were found after 13 years missing? I'd read that they had found some remains in the vicinity where Colt and Molly were last seen or where their phones had last pinged. Have they positively confirmed that it is them? I mean, I'm going on the assumption that it is them, just to the proximity of where they were last known to be and where their phones last pinged. But yeah. Yeah, Avery says she's in shock. Yeah, I remember that. What did that come out? What, last week before? I remember I got a notification about it. So it is confirmed that it is them. Okay. I'm going to have to look at that. I haven't looked at had time to look at anything about it since they had found the remains and that they were kind of, in the area where Molly and Colt were last known to be. Avery says, yes, found in February, confirmed today. Excellent. So I may have to add that too, because I'll probably do just kind of a true crime after dark and chill, talk about some true crime. I did have some stories that I'd found come up on my Google news feed to talk about Wednesday, because I won't be able to do a live stream this coming Friday. Because actually me and my mom are going to see Wicked Friday, the stage play Friday. So I was thinking about doing a live stream Wednesday and just talking about some true crime in the news and stuff I found. So we may have to talk about that. I'll look and see. Yeah, Avery says that's so wild. I've always wondered what happened to them. Yeah. Well, thank you for letting us know that information. I did not know that it had been confirmed. Well, at least now their parents, their family can families can bring them home and give them, lay them to rest properly. All right, let me see if I had anything else about Jamal. I don't think I did. Nope. Okay, so next, this is our oldest one tonight, 1963, I believe. 63. This is Jane. I don't know if it's Roll or Rowell. I was just calling her Jane Clement. Jane Rowell or Roll Clement. She has been missing since April 7th, 1963, from Baton Rouge. She was just 22 years old when she went missing. She was a white female. She was a tiny thing. When she went missing, she was 5'3", 100 pounds, with blonde brown hair and blue eyes. Her last known clothing was a pink, red, and white gingham dress. So I have my thoughts and theories about this one. So Jane was last seen at her residence in the 2700 block of Sorrel Avenue in Baton Rouge on April 7th, 1963, which in that year, that was the day after Easter. She called her estranged husband and asked him to babysit their two young children while she went to look for a job. Her husband picked the children up, and he says that he never saw or heard from his wife again after he picked the kids up. But it was a neighbor that called Jane's brother a week later to tell him that she was missing. It wasn't the estranged husband. So I don't know. I don't know when they made this arrangement, when she called the estranged husband and said, "Hey, can you babysit the kids while I go look for a job?" Was there a time frame of when she was going to come back? Was it going to be hours, a day, weeks? But at any rate, it just seems like the estranged husband wasn't concerned, that after a week, she still hadn't returned. Now, that could have been normal. It could be that she did disappear for a week at a time. We don't know. So a neighbor called Jane's brother a week later to tell him that she had vanished. So the brother went over to her house. He broke into the house, which was locked. He found a mildewed basket of washed clothes in the laundry room. Nothing was missing from the house except the clothes that she was wearing that day, which apparently were her Easter clothes, and the bedspread from her room. So how many cases have we looked at where if somebody their life was taken in their house or a house, sheets or bedspreads come up missing, and most likely, I'm not saying this is what happened in this case, and the bedspread's missing, or the sheets are missing, or the blankets, because something happened to the victim in the house. They were wrapped in whatever, the bed sheets, bedspread, and taken out of the house and taken somewhere else to be disposed of. So she was a writer at the time of her disappearance, and apparently she was an aspiring actress also. She had written several short stories, and she was working on a novel. Her case does remain unsolved. So if you do have any information, you can call the Baton Rouge PD at 225-389-8617 or 225-389-3844. I was able to find quite a bit. I had to pare down just so the live stream wouldn't be 12 hours long here. So I do use this site. It's called Whereabouts Still Unknown. From time to time, because it usually does have a pretty good summary and some ideas. Whoever does the I guess it's kind of like a vlog. It's a WordPress. Whereaboutsstillunknown.wordpress.com. Once again, the link is in the description box. And this was posted in March of 2022. It says Jane Hannah Roll Clement, age 22, vanished from Baton Rouge, Louisiana on April 8th, 1963. Jane was last seen by her estranged husband, Wilton Clement, when he came to her home to pick up their children while she went to see someone about a job. When they returned, Jane was not there, so I'm assuming it meant when he and the kids returned to the house. When they returned, Jane was not there, and he never heard from her again. So Jane and her husband Wilton has separated after an argument over the time that she spent writing. Apparently these arguments have become physical, and Jane was hospitalized. So trigger warning. Sorry, I forgot to put up my trigger warning. Where did my... Oh, I forgot to put my banner back up. Sorry. Okay, with the trigger warnings. So apparently these arguments and fights did become physical. Jane had been hospitalized for severe bruising to the back and the neck. Jane remained in the marital home with their two young children, but she was afraid of living alone. So as a result, her brother, Wiley Rowell, would visit her often, sometimes staying all weekend. And she had asked her neighbor to call her daily and then to alert Wiley, the brother, if she did not answer. So apparently she was very scared that something, possibly her husband, would do something to her, or her estranged husband. So Wiley, the brother, had spent Easter weekend at Jane's home. He had been present when Wilton came by to pick up the children for a scheduled visit. He witnessed the two arguing. Jane and her brother, Wiley, had spent Easter Sunday on an outing with a male friend, and Wiley left Jane's place to go back home to New Orleans that evening. Jane's neighbor was the first to discover that something may have been wrong, as her daily attempts to call Jane went unanswered. Wilton Clement had told her that so this doesn't make sense to me. This part of his story doesn't make sense to me. So Wilton had told her that he had returned the children Sunday night, but added that Jane had called him and asked him to pick them up again, as she had a lunch meeting with a wealthy Bourbon Street club owner in New Orleans about a job. This led the neighbor to believe that Jane had returned to New Orleans with Wiley. After a week or so had passed with no sign of Jane, the neighbor became concerned. Okay, so that's not the part that... So the husband has stated that, so when she got home from this job interview, and it may be in one of the other articles I read, when she called the Wilton, the ex-husband, estranged husband, to come get the kids while she went to this job interview. And then he had said that when she got back, he had brought them home. But then apparently either later that night or the next morning, he had called, he said she had called her to come get the kids again because she had another, some kind of job interview. And so he came and got the kids. It was very, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway. So eventually, her brother was notified that Jane had not been seen in some time. So he went to her house to investigate. Upon arriving at Jane's home, the doors were locked. He was concerned enough to break a window on the back door in order to gain entry. He found mildewed laundry in the basket on top of the dryer. Nothing appeared to be missing except her Easter outfit and a pink bedspread. Her makeup and other essentials were still in the house. Once again, Jane enjoyed writing. She had written some short stories. She was working on a novel when she vanished. She was also an aspiring actress in college, performing in many productions. It was said that she was being scouted by Hollywood casting agents, but she had opted to marry Wilton and start a family instead of going to Hollywood. This person, whoever wrote this, says a commenter on Web Sleuths who claims to be familiar with the family provides some additional information. According to their account, Jane's father had committed self-harm, and her mother had passed away of tuberculosis while Jane was young. And I think in this other article, it says that Jane was 11 or 12 years old when her father took his own life, and then her mother passed away of TB. And then after that, apparently Jane was shuffled around between families as a child. The source also, also says that Jane has a sister named Patsy who went missing 10 years earlier, before Jane went missing. The older sister has never been found. Patsy, who is older sister, was not reported missing at the time, as her family believed that she had run off due to a pregnancy. So apparently she was pregnant when she went missing. This is the sister, not Jane or Janet. I keep wanting to call her Jane. So it says this could certainly cause confusion if either Jane's or Patsy's remains are ever located, as the DNA would be a match to both of them, and Patsy was not reported missing. It says Jane was often known by the name Hannah, and while I realize it's almost definitely a coincidence, there is actually another missing person named Hannah Jane Rowell. Is not the same person, let's say, what are the chances of that? Jane's brother Wiley is now deceased. But as of the most recent report that this person had found, and once again, this post was from 2022. It said as of the most recent report that they had found, Wilton, the estranged husband, was still alive and living in Baton Rouge. So lots of stuff going on here. So I did find a really good article. Hopefully it'll let me read it. Hopefully it won't throw me behind the paywall. So this is from the Hammond Star, and it is from February 2020. Jane Clement missing since 1963. Autumn of 1959, which is about 3 or 4 years before she went missing, closing night for the Southeastern Louisiana College stage play Suspect, and news reporters from 3 Hammond newspapers had questions, not for the play's lead, but for a Baton Rouge girl in a supporting role, Hannah Jane Rowell. One reporter shouted, "Miss Rowell, is it true that an agent from Metro Goldwyn Mayer has contacted you?" Another added, "When are you leaving for Hollywood, Miss Rowell?" 3 days earlier, a New Orleans Times Picayune columnist leaked details of Jane's springtime lunch in the French Quarter with Hollywood director and screenwriter Nunley Hunter Johnson. So maybe that was because she told, I don't know if it was her brother or the husband, that I think it was a brother, she told that she was going to New Orleans for a meeting with a Hollywood director. So according to the columnist, Johnson came to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. He scouted area talent. He caught Jane's performance in an earlier production at Southeastern. So the reporters, they were persistent. They said, do you have any news to share? And finally, Jane said, "Okay, I do have something to say." So the 5'4" 18-year-old beauty stood at the edge of the stage. And she said, quote, "I am leaving Southeastern after this semester," end quote. And the reporter said, "Are you crying, Miss Rowell?" And she answered, "Tears of joy, but it's nothing to do with Hollywood. I have abandoned this motion picture foolishness and accepted my high school sweetheart's marriage proposal. He was a track star at the University of Texas, and he has just accepted a high school coaching position in Baton Rouge. So the reporter said, what about Tinseltown? We read that you're going to be the next Ava Gardner. And Jane said, next year I will become Mrs. William Clement. So as she predicted, the following year she did marry, and the marriage produced 2 children. An infant and a toddler were left behind when Jane vanished in 1963. When she disappeared, Jane's estranged husband told police that she had abandoned her family for Hollywood. So why would he say that? Because he said that she was going for a job interview. So was it with the director in New Orleans, and he was just afraid that she was going to leave for Hollywood? However, since her disappearance almost 50 years ago, Jane Roll Clement has not appeared in any motion pictures. She has not appeared anywhere. Jane's mother, a Mississippi school teacher, gave birth to Jane in Jefferson County in 1941. Jane's father worked days as a farmer and nights as a moonshiner. Before Jane's 7th birthday, the family moved to Baton Rouge, where her mother and father passed away before Jane's 12th birthday. Jane and her 4 orphan siblings shuffled between aunts, uncles, teachers, and family friends throughout their childhood. Despite this tragedy, Jane developed into a bright, personable teenager. Her mother, during her last years at the hospital, had kept a diary which Jane saw as an inspiration. At Estruma, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Estruma Junior High School, Jane took top honors, reporting on school events for the Baton Rouge Advocate. She quickly became popular among her peers, who selected her homecoming queen. In addition to writing, Jane loved drama and the stage. At Estruma High School, she set a record as the only person to win Best Actress 3 consecutive years for her portrayals in annual school productions. After she left Southeastern, Jane directed plays at Estruma High School. She worked again for the newspaper. Subscribing to correspondence courses and home studies, she worked to improve her craft and sold fiction to several pulp magazines. On Christmas Eve of 1962, a fight with her husband over Jane's writing became physical. The next morning, Jane's doctor admitted her to the Baton Rouge General Hospital for treatment of deep bruises on her neck and her back. The doctor discharged her on New Year's Eve, but she never again lived with Wilton Clement. A Baton Rouge court granted her a legal separation on March 18, 1963, along with custody of the children and the residence on Sorrel Avenue. So she got the kids in the house. Alone with her children, Jane started a novel, which was left unfinished when she disappeared. And curiously, it says Jane authored a lengthy letter to be given to her infant daughter when she became of age. So I want to know, I wonder what was in that letter. Jane told her brother that she feared living alone, so her brother Wiley visited her and the children often, sometimes spending the weekend. But as a precaution, Jane asked a friend, Miss Jeffers, to telephone her daily and to notify Wiley if the day came when she did not answer the phone. Saturday morning, April 6, 1963, Wiley drove up from New Orleans and spent the night at Jane's. Sunday morning, Wilton Clement picked up the children for his scheduled visitation. And according to Wiley, Clement and Jane argued before he left. After lunch that Sunday, April 7th, 1963, Wiley and a friend of his, Gerald, and Jane went on an outing across the river. Later, Wiley departed for New Orleans, unaware that he would never see his sister again. 10 days later, Miss Jeffers called Wiley long distance. Jane had not answered her telephone for several days. At first, Miss Jeffers assumed that Jane had left for New Orleans with Wiley, but she said she eventually grew worried and decided to call Wiley to confirm if Jane was with him. Wiley left work. He drove frantically to Baton Rouge. He met Mrs. Jeffers at Jane's house. He broke the glass in the back door and locked it. He entered through the kitchen. On the clothes dryer, he found a hamper of mildewed clothing and half a pack of cigarettes. Everything else in the house appeared as he had left it less than 2 weeks earlier. Jane's makeup and clothing appeared in place, excluding the clothes that she wore that Sunday. The only thing missing from the house was the pink bedspread. Excuse me. So Wiley remembered this bedspread because he had slept on the couch and he had used this pink bedspread for cover. Both the Baton Rouge City Police and the Sheriff's Office responded to Miss Jeffers' call. And before the search concluded, so this doesn't make sense to me. You would think it would take longer to do a grand jury. This says, so this Baton Rouge City Police arrived, Sheriff's Office responded, and before the search concluded, the district attorney presented evidence to a grand jury that even today has never been made public. That doesn't happen that fast, does it? Where you're still searching and then you convene a grand jury to look at evidence. So maybe I'm reading it wrong, but that doesn't make sense to me. I know grand juries are different from like court proceedings, but it's still, I don't know. Somebody can explain it to me. So investigators did question Wilton Clement within an hour of Mrs. Jeffers' call. So this is the part that kind of didn't, I don't know, maybe it didn't make a little bit of sense to me. So Clement said that he last saw Jane on Monday, April the 8th. He said he had returned the children the night before on Easter from his visitation. But he said Jane called him that morning, Monday, April 8th, to come back and get them. Oh, no, maybe it does make sense. He said that she said she had a job offer. According to him, she told him she had a job offer working for a wealthy club owner on Bourbon Street, and she needed to meet the man for lunch. So Clement said that he had tried to call Jane later, but he got no answer. He assumed that she had taken the job and was staying at her brother's in New Orleans. Neighbors reported nothing unusual. Police dispatched bulletins regarding her disappearance across the country and contacted Jane's friends and casual acquaintances in Mississippi, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Alabama. And none had spoke to her after April 7th of 1963. So for months, Jane's aunt, Miss Mary Baker in Natchez, Mississippi, ran a newspaper advertisement in The Advocate offering a $300 reward for information concerning her niece's disappearance and whereabouts without receiving a single response. In December of 1963, police found the body of a woman near the Benbrook Lake Dam outside of Fort Worth, Texas. Jane's physical characteristics matched those of the estimated 6-month-old corpse, but Jane's dental records did not, so it was not Jane. In 1965, columnist Jim Crane sat down with Wiley to talk about Jane and her strange disappearance. So Wiley said, quote, it's the sort of thing you never get over. There's been no peace for our family since it happened. It is worse than someone you love dying. It's a nightmare, never knowing what happened or how and why it happened, end quote. So Wiley gazed into his cup of coffee for a few moments before he could continue, as according to Crane. And then he said, quote, "I know one thing for sure. My sister loved her children too much to run away." So Jim Crane said, quote, "What do you think really happened to her?" And Wiley said, quote, "Murder. I'd stake my life on it." So yeah, the brother thinks that her life was, that she was a victim of a homicide. So Wiley passed away. The brother passed away in 2008 at age 72. But at the time of this article, when did I say this one was from? Hold on, let me go back up. 2020, so just 5-6 years ago. I get back down to where I was. So the brother died in 2008, but as this person was writing this article in 2020 or so, Wilton Clement was apparently still alive at age 88 and still living in Baton Rouge. So he said, so the article says, if Clement told the police the truth, that he believed Jane ran away to Hollywood, perhaps one or two of her descendants can be identified today. I don't know what they mean by descendants. I'm assuming, I wonder what happened to the children. Did Wilton keep the kids? I mean, they would obviously be grown now, but so in 1993, another Hannah Jane Rowell, then 29 years old, mysteriously disappeared from her home in Eureka, California, and a British-born fashion model turned actress, Jessica Jane Clement, 35, now lives in Los Angeles. And it says this Jane Clement looks identical in appearance to Hannah Jane Rowell Clement, who vanished in 1963. So I don't know if they're trying to say maybe it's the same person. She just kind of changed her name up a little bit. It said that this Hannah Jane Rowell Clement filmed her most recent movie in 2017. It has not yet been released. And yeah, there was, I don't know if it was on this website or a different one. It might have been on the Whereabouts Still Unknown website. It did have a picture. And her and the Jane Clement that we're talking about that went missing, they do look very, very much alike. I'm not saying it's the same person. My opinion or my thought is that she didn't. Once again, we don't know for sure. We don't like to blame, but I don't think she left that house. Or, well, I think she left the house, but not on her own 2 feet. I mean, that's just my opinion, given just what little information we have of the history between the DV and the history between she and her Wilton, the estranged husband. She went to the hospital at least one time with deep bruising. Her family says they saw bruises on her. She was afraid to stay by herself. She had, once again gone so far as to tell her neighbor, "Call me every day. When the day comes that I don't answer you, get a hold of my brother because something has happened to me." I mean, was she afraid of the husband, that the ex-husband was going to do something to her? Did she have any other male acquaintances that she might have been afraid of? Just something tells me, just my opinion, that something happened to her in that house at some point. Probably maybe on that Sunday, the Easter Sunday. Just my opinion. Please let me know, as always, what you guys think. I think that's all I had on her. So let me check your comments. Okay, get on the right thing here. I think I forgot to mark. Okay. Okay, so going back to Jeremiah, I might have already read this, but Z said, I found one place they said they did search the pond. Good. Paula says she was pretty. I don't know which one you're talking about, but going back to Jeremiah, Z said, sounds to me he was meeting someone. Parks, yeah. See, I had this thought too. Parks are notorious for men cruising for relations or buying substances. They would check these ponds since it was a park with children around. See, I had that thought too, was when I said, was it going to meet someone, whether it be, a meet up with a man or a woman or whatever, or for some kind of deal, substance deal also, or both, who knows. Yeah, I'm not buying the story. And once again, I'm not blaming this. I'm not saying this to put any blame or shade on the victim, but I just didn't buy the story that he said he was going into the woods to look for a cell phone holder. I just like, no, I wouldn't, that just gut feeling that he was going in there to meet somebody for something. And then the shoe, even more, just finding the one shoe. Yeah. Which case was that? You have to remind me. UCC said home near Capitol Lake and the governor's mansion. Are we back to I don't remember if that was Charles or which case. That's a good question. Going back to Jane, Miss Paula said, is there any proof that he did return the kids? See that? His word, because he told police that he, and really all we have to go on and everything that I found is the ex-husband, the estranged husband's, what he said. I mean, but I wonder that too. I don't know. I just, in this case, once again, I just have the gut feeling that something happened to her that day. Something happened to her in that house that would explain, could possibly, I might say it does explain, could possibly explain the missing bedspread. Somebody, whether it was the estranged husband or if the husband did come up and pick the kids up to leave, did she call somebody, another male friend, to come over, and this other male friend could have done something, got into some argument, and something happened. She ended up deceased, and this, wrapped in the blanket, taken out of the house, maybe put in the trunk of a car or whatever, and taken somewhere else to be, I hate to use the word disposed of, but that's basically what it is, to be disposed of. That's just the feeling. That's just my gut feeling that I have now. I'm not saying it's right. That's just that's just what I could come up with. Yeah, going back to Molly and Colt. Yeah, Z says the discovery was made in a wooded area in southern Oklahoma, roughly 1 mile from where the car they were riding in crashed during the police pursuit. Yep. Yeah, and maybe that same general area maybe was, because I know that just from reading about the case, which I'd read about it before, and then when this came up that they found remains, it jogged my memory. I went back and reread it, but yeah, they apparently, I think both of them, Colt and Molly, did make some calls to some friends, or maybe to parents or friends, saying that they were hurt, they needed help. And I think maybe that was the same general area where the phone calls came from. But yeah, definitely in the same area where they had the car crash. And the I forgot what the one's name that was driving. So they'd ran from police because they were doing donut, this ignoramus that was driving was doing donuts and hit the police with the gravel. So they got into a high-speed chase with the police and then ended up crashing out. And I think the guy that was driving ended up taking off and running. So yeah, it's just a horrible case. UCC says there's really decent and regular bus service between Baton Rouge and NOLA, New Orleans. She does. Paula says she kind of looks like Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah, let me take that down. Yeah, when I saw this picture, it just reminded me of like she kind of looks like the old maybe 50s and 60s actors, like Leave It to Beaver mom. She looks like a TV mom from like back in the 50s and 60s on. That's what she reminds me of. But yeah, she does kind of look like Elizabeth Taylor. You're correct. Yep, she is beautiful. Yeah, I think she would have. She was a decent enough actress. She probably could have made it if she had decided to go out to Hollywood. But it's probably a good thing that, well, I don't know. I say it's probably a good thing that she didn't make it out to Hollywood because things that we know happen in Hollywood. But I mean, if she she chose to stay home and start a family, but possibility that her family, or not her family, but a member of her family may have been I'm not saying did, may have been her demise. Yep. UCC says no wonder she was scared to be alone. Yeah. Yep. Obviously DV involved. And I wonder how much. I'm sure the family was aware because she had gone to her doctor, her primary doctor, what we call primary care doctor, had at least one occasion sent her to the hospital for deep bruising on her back and neck. So you would think that her family would have been aware. So I'm just going to assume that her family was aware of the DV. So you're talking about Molly and Colt. Z said forensic analysis is currently underway by the Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiner to determine the cause and manner of death. That's going to be so very important because people in this case, in Molly and Colt's case, have speculated, was it some kind of foul play? Was it just they were hurt so bad during this crash that they just succumbed to injuries from the crash? And I don't know if the guy that was driving, I think he was charged with whatever, running from the police or whatever they charged him with. I can't remember exactly what he was charged with. Yeah, see, that's another thing that makes me suspicious of the husband. Z says, sorry, that is weird. The husband did not say anything to the police when she didn't come back. Exactly. It was the neighbor. I think the same neighbor that Jane had said, Miss Jeffers was the neighbor, said, if I don't call, you call me every day, basically, and if I don't, the day comes when I don't answer, call the police or call my family or whatever, or call my brother because something's happened to me. But yeah, so the neighbor was the one who actually called the police and then got in touch with Wiley, the brother. And then Wiley came down from New Orleans, and he's the one that broke into the house and found the laundry and the things that he found in the house. So yeah, it's always red flaggy to me when the spouse or ex-spouse, whatever, does not report the person missing. Yeah, Ms. Z agrees with me. She says, sounds like she never left the home. Something happened there. That's my gut feeling. She never left that house. Most likely it's something. Oh man, I just hold on. I'm dropping my stuff everywhere. My gut feeling is it's something because Wiley did say before he left on that Sunday. Hold on just a second. Okay. Wiley did say that before on that Sunday, Easter Sunday, before he left, when to go back to New Orleans, he was still there when Wilton, the husband, the hubby, came to pick up the kids. That he heard the husband, Wilton, and Jane fighting, arguing, and then he left. And then after that, nobody saw her after that. So yeah. And I'm wondering how old. I think because because I think I did read through her web sleuth thread, which I don't think I bookmarked it. It didn't have a whole lot, but because somebody had mentioned if the dad or the husband, the dad of the children, did do something to her, why haven't the kids ever said anything? But now I think the kids were very young. I think one was maybe 8 months old at the time, and then the other one was maybe 2.5 years old. So at 8 months and 2.5 year old, the kids that young aren't really going to remember anything. And it could have been that he had taken the kids, put them in the vehicle. Now this is just I'm going down a rabbit hole here, just a theory. They had an argument. He took the kids, put the kids in the vehicle, went back inside. Something happened. Jane lost her life. He wrapped her up in the blanket, brought her out, put her in the trunk of the car. He may have taken the kids somewhere and left. Maybe he had family he could have left the kids with or not. Maybe the kids were with him. He went somewhere, disposed of her body somewhere, and then he told the kids, your mom left us. She left to go to Hollywood. Because he did tell someone, I think he did tell the children at some point, mom left us to go to Hollywood. So they may have thought, grown up thinking that their mother just left them and went and took off to Hollywood. It could have been that kind of scenario, possibly. Just something to think about. Mustang is thinking along those lines also. Yeah, the UCC, yeah, the mildewy laundry. Yeah, because I can't remember where I read it. Anyway, like I said, I did find several articles with just little other quotes from family members, but I think in one of the articles that her brother Wiley was talking, he did say that when he found the laundry, he said some of the laundry was in the basket and some of the laundry was was put in the dryer. So he thinks that somebody, whoever it was, the husband or whatever, or if it's the scenario where the husband left with the kids and another gentleman came over, that whoever it was maybe came up behind her, took her by surprise, and that's why some of the laundry was in the basket, some of it was in the dryer, kind of ambushed her while she was doing that. So that would make sense. Yeah. Paula says, F the husband, go for your dreams. See, I also read that too, because I usually don't go to Reddit a lot, but when I was doing my search for information, a Reddit thing did come up, because Miss Z says Reddit seems to think she is buried in concrete close to her home. Yeah, let me see if I can find that right quick. Yeah, because that was very interesting. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, there's a theory that, let me find it. I don't want to. Give me 1 second. I should have bookmarked it, but okay, here's the Reddit. Let me see if it'll come up. Oh, where is it? Is that not the right one? Is it comments that somebody? Oh, that's not the one. Man, I wish I could find it. I think that was the only Reddit thing that came up, but something came up, yeah, about not too far from the house or somewhere that some kind of new house, some kind of new development was being built, and concrete had been laid or was going to be laid maybe a day before, day after she went missing, and that the husband had taken her and buried her in the concrete where she wouldn't be found. Man, I don't know why it won't come up, because the one that I found last night did have that, where it was talking about being buried in the concrete. Now I can't find it. But yeah, I did read that. Found that very interesting. Maybe this one is it. Hold on, bear with me. Okay. Okay, so okay, I found the one. I found it. Okay, so this is Reddit. So once again, I don't use Reddit a whole lot, but it says 4 months earlier on Christmas Eve of 1962, Jane had a fight with her husband, Wilton Clement. It became physical. The next morning, this is when she was admitted to Baton Rouge General Hospital for treatment, deep bruises on her neck and back. The doctor discharged her on New Year's Eve. So then that's when she left Wilton, or he left the house. She and the kids stayed in the house. Let me find the part about the concrete. So it's according, maybe it was on this Louisiana cold case collection. I remember reading it. Okay. So this is from the r/Louisiana cold case. Jane Rowell buried in concrete tomb near Sorrel Avenue in Baton Rouge. Says last week, Bayou Justice recounted the disappearance of a missing author and stage actress who vanished in 1963. Wilton Clement, the man that Jane Rowell left Southeastern College to marry, insisted that Jane fled to Hollywood, leaving him and their 2 babies behind. However, the family of Jane Clement believes that her husband killed her and may know they may know where he buried her body. When she disappeared, Jane's estranged husband told police that she had abandoned her family. Where's the part where it talks about being the maybe it's on down. I don't know. That's the end of it. Man, I wish I could find it. Yeah, there was something about a new building or something being built, and that the family says that they think that Wilton took Jane and buried her body in that concrete, hoping, so that she would never be found, basically. Very interesting. That would make sense to me. I mean, yep, that is true. Mustang says husbands who have done something also accuse the wife of abandoning their kids. You're correct. UCC says good brain on those shoulders. I don't know whose brain you're talking about. UCC says Bourbon Street nightclubs have always been mafia controlled. Carlos Marcelo, but not as likely as the husband or his proxy. Yeah. Hey, Miss PJ. Good to see you, ma'am. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Z says the one thing missing from the house is a pink comforter that her cousin gave her when she moved out of her husband's house. Her brother remembered that comforter too. They think she was wrapped in that. See, that's what I think also. Sorry, my cup was really loud. Yeah, I think something happened in that house that day, whether it be the husband once again, or the husband is completely innocent, and after the husband took the kids, she called another gentleman friend over, and then something happened. But I don't know. My gut feeling is I would definitely look at the husband first. It's just my opinion. Yeah, Mustang says definitely sounds like the ex. Yeah, that missing bedspread is sus, absolutely. Yeah, and I read something else. I can't even remember. It might have been on a Reddit or something, or I don't know, something I came across that I don't know if it's somebody that was knew the husband, or maybe one of the husband Wilton's family members or something, said that these news articles and information that had been put out was skewed to make the husband look guilty, and whoever this person was claimed that Jane had gone to the beach at some point before and taken this the pink bedspread to the beach to sit on, and just never didn't bring it home, and I don't know. It's not confirmed, so I don't know. And you could tell that the person who wrote this was very biased towards the husband not being guilty. So, but then I think I read somewhere that was like her only bedspread. So why would she take her only bedspread out to lay on at the beach? I mean, yeah, it can be brought back and washed, but I don't. My opinion, that's not what happens. Just my opinion. Let me see. Let me get caught up, and I think we have maybe one more, and we will be done. Yeah, yeah. Her older sister goes missing. 10 years before, or was that the other case? No, that was this case. Yeah. Miss Paula says her husband was jealous and sus to me. Yeah. I think he was well, he came out and said that's the most of the fights they had was because she spent so much time with her writing, and then she was supposedly trying to get this job in a on Bourbon Street, and then possibly wanted to try out the acting thing again, even though she had chosen not to go to Hollywood at that time, and stay there and marry him and have kids. She could have changed her mind. So that is a valid, good point. UCC says her home is so close to the river and to Capitol Lake that indirectly feeds into the river. So yeah, I would be, but once again, I would be looking in the river, but unfortunately it's very hard to find people in the river. But yeah, that is a possibility that she could have ended up in the river. Okay, I think, like I said, I think we have one more. This is Eleanor C. Parker. Let me get her information. So Eleanor has been missing since November 10th, 1981 from East Baton Rouge. She is a white female. She was just 18 years old when she went missing. She'll be 63 years old as of 2026. When she went missing, she was 5'5" tall, 110 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Last known clothing was a matching maroon tweed skirt, blouse and blazer, and maroon suede boots, or jeans and a gray Lee High School football shirt with a blue softball or blue football in the center. So either one of those outfits. So I'm thinking maybe the all maroon may have been let's see. I don't know what school it was. Maybe a school uniform, being it was everything was maroon. Or maybe she just liked to match when she dressed. So Eleanor was last seen in East Baton Rouge. She stopped at her parents' home in the South Downs neighborhood to pick up some winter clothing, and she was last seen driving in the direction of her apartment, which was on Gardier Lane. One of Parker's former classmates claims to have seen her and spoken to her at the Cortana Mall on November 14th. So it would have been 4 days after that. After she left her parents' home, the witness said that Parker was wearing jeans and a gray Lee High School shirt with the blue football in the center. This sighting has never been confirmed. On November 18th, her 1975 Ford Maverick was found parked alongside the road at North and North 17th Streets near Gouchos. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Goudchaux, Gouchos, which is where Parker was employed at the time that she vanished. I don't know what Gouchos is, if it's a bar or some kind of store. It says her clothes were neatly folded in the trunk. There was no sign of a struggle at the scene. She had moved into an apartment in East Baton Rouge with 3 female roommates shortly before her disappearance, and she was planning to attend LSU the following spring. She is missing under suspicious circumstances. Foul play is suspected in her case. So if you do have any information, you can call the East Baton Rouge County Sheriff's Department at 225-389-5073. I think I was able to find one pretty good article on Eleanor. So this article is from a special report, What Happened to Eleanor Parker, and it is from April of 2018. So it says it is believed to be one of the oldest unsolved missing persons cases in Baton Rouge. Eleanor Parker disappeared without a trace on November 10th, 1981, and her body was never found. She was 19 years old when she disappeared. Parker was last seen leaving her parents' home in the South Downs neighborhood in the evening. Old reports state that she was headed for her apartment in the Gardier area, but she never made it. Police searched a wooded area near her apartment in a 20-mile radius back then. Missing persons posters were distributed by investigators with the following information. Just dark blonde, green eyes, 5'5", 115 pounds, car, a 75 Maverick. At the time, police had little to work from. There was no body, no evidence, and no real clues to determine what happened to Parker. Then investigators came across what was seemingly a big break in the case. The day after she went missing, Parker's vehicle, a 1975 Ford Maverick, was found outside of the old Goudos. Old crime reports show that nothing was out of place inside her vehicle. There was no weapon. There was no trace of Parker. There was no fingerprints. At the time, the Baton Rouge Police Department and the East Baton Rouge District Attorney's Office conducted parallel investigations. Detectives interviewed nearly everyone in Parker's life at the time. They conducted polygraph tests, and they brought people in for lineups. So it was rumored that serial offenders Sean Vincent Gillis or Derek Todd Lee. Now, I have not heard of Sean Vincent Gillis. I've definitely looked at stuff about Derek Todd Lee. May have been connected to Parker's disappearance, but neither name appeared to be associated in either investigation by Baton Rouge PD or the district attorney's office. Sergeant Ross Williams currently oversees the homicide division at BRPD. He has dug through files and reports from back when this case was originally filed. He believes the case is worth revisiting, but the challenge is that this is a race against time. Sergeant Williams said, quote, "From reading it and looking over some of the people that they have interviewed in here, I think some people know where she is or where she was or where she used to be. Now, whether or not she's still there, I don't know. Some of the people and witnesses that they had listed in here have since passed away or are deceased as well," end quote. Sergeant Williams wants to regroup with the surviving original investigators on the case to re-interview some of the people involved in Parker's life back when she vanished. It's been a long time since the last lead on this case, but with modern technology like advanced DNA testing and the FACES lab, there's a slight chance for Parker's case to be solved. Sergeant Williams explained, quote, "I think it's possible, yes, if you can find out where she is buried, if she is buried or where she is, if you can take that and match that up to a family," end quote. All investigators need is just one solid lead or that one phone call to guide them in the right direction. Absolutely. No bit of information is ever too small. So Sergeant Williams said, quote, "If we find just one random bone somewhere and somebody says that Miss Parker was buried at spot X, and we go over there and we find even just a bone, they can take that, they can test it and compare it to the DNA from the family to see if that does match up. Then we can go from there," end quote. Williams plans to revisit Parker's living family members to gather new DNA samples in case anything ever turns up and detectives are able to move forward. Sergeant Williams said, quote, "If anybody knows anything about Eleanor Parker from that day, November 10th, when she disappeared, may have seen her the next day, the day after, or may have heard where she may have been taken, if she was in fact taken somewhere, call us and let us know. Anything can help us give some kind of closure to the family," end quote. This is all in the hopes of closing this chapter for a family who has gone through decades of wondering, wishing, and praying for answers. Once again, if you remember any details or have any information on Eleanor's case that could help investigators, call Crime Stoppers at 225-344-7867. If you'd like to speak with Sergeant Williams directly, now I don't know if he's still, this article's from about 8 or 9 years ago. It says if you would like to speak with Sergeant Williams directly, call the Baton Rouge Police Department at 225-389-4869. So yeah, this is just one where she didn't just vanish into thin air. It seems that way, but apparently from just their investigation, it said that they interviewed people, they did lineups. Did it say they did a polygraph test? Yeah, it says detectives interviewed nearly everyone in Parker's life at the time. They conducted a polygraph test and brought people in for lineups. So the only reason you would bring people in for lineups is if you had a witness that did see something, and they were trying to, and they had a suspect, possible suspect, person of interest. Put that person in the lineup to see if the witness identified that particular person. That's the only reason I know that they do police lineups. You know, I'm not a professional anything, but that's just I've watched enough. I watched enough TV. That's what they do. Anyway, so yeah, it's just and I'm wondering about, it says that the clothes were neatly, let me find it. When they found the car, it says all her clothes were folded neatly in the back of the trunk. Were they just in the trunk? Were they in bags? Because it said that she'd gone to, I think, her parents' house to pick up some of her winter clothes. Maybe she didn't have bags. Maybe, you know, and if it was a lot of clothes, maybe she just did fold them up and just kind of set them in the back of the trunk. Because I was thinking if something did happen and somebody took the car, I mean, I wouldn't expect a man to fold clothes neatly in the back of a trunk. And I got to thinking, well, maybe she just, when she was loading the clothes in the trunk, she just folded them. There are so many of them, she just folded them and put them in the trunk. And I'm thinking, ain't no man going to take the time to fold clothes and put them neatly in the back of a trunk. Anyway, I think that is all I had on her. So let me see what you guys have to say right quick, and then we will get out of here. That's where I left off. UCC says, I'm going to ask my mom. She and my dad were both at LSU then. She always read the newspapers wherever she lives. Oh, about this case? Excellent. UCC says, oh my God, my brain just played the radio ad for the Cortana Mall. I've never heard it, so I don't know. I said, I've never really spent any time in Baton Rouge. Most of the time that I spend in New Orleans has been in Shreveport, Bossier City. One time in New Orleans. I have gone to Bourbon Street one time. That was enough for me. But like I said earlier, we did go down several years. We would go down with Little Rock Tours. Would always take a bus down to Shreveport, Bossier City for Mardi Gras. And Mardi Gras down there was a lot tamer and family friendly than everything I've seen that happens during Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I could not do Mardi Gras in New Orleans. There's just too many people, too many drunk people. Anyway, that's for another show. Thank you. Okay, so UCC says, I was trying to figure out how to pronounce that good show. It's Godshaw, and it was a department. I'll say like a dealer, so like a department store. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Godshaw. Thank you so much. Yep, JP says very sad case. Absolutely. Hey, Boston Christian, good to see you. Welcome in. What JP says, I file clothes. You file your clothes? Oh, fold. Oh, so JP does fold clothes. Okay, so I'm not saying every man doesn't fold clothes. My point was, I think I was trying to say if, and once I thought about it, it didn't make sense. Because when they found the car, you know, the clothes were folded neatly in the back, and I was thinking if somebody took the car, but the clothes would have already been in there. You know, no man is going to stop if they're trying, you know, if they've done something nefarious to this lady, they're not going to take the time to neatly fold clothes in the back of the car. I'm sure it was Eleanor that folded the clothes and put them in the car after she picked them up. JP says he always does dishes. You're a good man. You're a good man, JP. Oh, UCC says neatly folded clothes, not a straight man anyway. That's a fair point. Thank you, Miss Farr. Miss Farr said, thank you, Southern Gal. Great live as always. Have a good night. Stay safe all. Thank you, Miss Farr. Oh, JP says, no, he was just raised to take care of himself. Excellent. Mustang says she used a filing cabinet to put clothes in once. Hey, whatever you got that works. Filing cabinet will work just as good as anything. Oh, goodness. Make sure that was all that I had. Oh, yeah, I think it is. Yep, that was it. All right, guys. So thank you, everybody that was here in the chat. I always love all the great insight and thoughts and theories and conversations that you guys bring to these cases. Always very much appreciated. We love our lurkers too. Thank you for coming in and listening and learning about these cases. Thank you, replay crew. Absolutely love our replay crew. Once again, if you are replay crew, please leave me a comment down below to let me know that you are replay crew. And even if you're in the chat, once the live stream finishes, please do leave a comment. Comments, like, shares, they all help supposedly they all help the algorithm. You can also hype. Well, I know you can hype videos. I don't fully understand this whole hype thing. But if after the live stream finishes, I guess it is considered a video. If you can hype it. It doesn't cost anything from what I understand. I think you get some kind of so many hype points a year that you can use to hype videos or whatever. So if you care to use some of your hype points to hype any of my live streams or videos, always appreciated, because I know that not everybody can afford to donate or be a member. But honestly, just liking, sharing, commenting, doing all those things helps out just as much as donations. It helps the algorithm, helps it get pushed out to more people, and that is the purpose, is for as many people as possible to see these cases, to be made aware of these cases. So thank you very much for whatever you can do. Let me see. Let me get back up here. You're very welcome, JP. Says thanks for having us. Absolutely. Mustang says long story, don't ask. Thank you, Mustang. Yeah, like, share. JP says like, share. Mustang says be safe, everyone. Absolutely. Yeah, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. UCC says thanks for all the research and work. Absolutely, I do the best I can with what I have to work with Google, the Google machine. But I do as much research as I can. I go way 3, 4, 5, 6 pages deep in the Google searches just for that, any little bit of information. But thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you, Miss Paula, for being here as always. So I'll try, if nothing comes up Wednesday, I'll try to do a True Crime After Dark Wednesday, and we'll talk about, have kind of like a true crime and chill. We can talk about some true crime stuff. We can talk about whatever. Mustang says, how do you hype? There's somewhere under video, I know on videos, like if you go under where you can the little line that you can scroll through where you can like it, or where you can share, you can do this, you can do that. I think there's like a little button that says hype. I think it's there, and you just push it, and I don't know exactly how it works, but I think it's in that same area as like where the share button is. I think is where you go to hype it. I don't know. Like I said, I've got to do some more research and do into this hype thing. But I said it doesn't cost anything, but apparently you get so many hype points, they call them, that you can use. I don't know if it goes by weekly, monthly, or whatever. I guess maybe the more hypes or the more that people hype a video, maybe it pushes it up in the algorithm. I don't know. Anyway, any little thing helps, is very much appreciated. Thank you, JP. Thank you again, Mustang. No, it's not. I've seen it on my phone on the app. So I don't know if it's only on PC. I'll have to look at it. So UCC says, call me in and slide it to the left. Stay away from pink bedspreads. Yeah, just look for it. I think I'll have to get on when we get off here. I'll get on my phone and see if I can let us find it. Let you know what. Oh, about Wednesday. Yeah, I should be. I'll get it scheduled. I'll try to get it. So tomorrow's Tuesday, right? So I'll try to get everything scheduled together and schedule it tomorrow. It'll be the same bat time, same bat channel, 8:30 p.m. Central. And we'll just kind of. I did have a couple of articles I had saved in my browser of some cold case stuff and something else that came up in one of the current cases. That it wanted to talk about, and then we could talk about whatever else you guys want to talk about. Oh, okay, yeah, that too. That too. Also, if I figure out how to use the hype thing, yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. All right, I'm gonna quit babbling now. Once again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the everybody who comes in and watches. Thank you to the subs. Thank you to members. Thank you everybody. I love you guys, and hopefully I will see you in a couple of days. I'm trying to find oh, there it is. So everybody have a good night, a good day tomorrow, a good rest of your week. If I don't see you for the rest of the week, I love you guys, and I will see you later.